Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Do you believe in Friday the 13th? Hey, it's a football Friday.
Football Friday.
How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good morning, Mark. Do you believe in the whole Friday the 13th thing?
No, not at all. Not at all. I believe that weird things happen on full moons. I do believe in that. I think that could be documented fact that weird junk happens with a full moon. But the Friday the 13th thing, it's just very random.
I'm with you, by the way. I do think our behavior is a little different on a full moon. Okay, sometimes good, sometimes fired up, and sometimes, man, what got into you? Yes. You know what? I was never, even though I'm a little superstitious, and as a sports fan, I'm very superstitious. But I never got into the whole Friday the 13th thing until Tim Russert died on a Friday the 13th. And that one shook me. That was 15 years ago on a Friday the 13th. And that one went, maybe bad things do happen on this day. That was the first time, and I was in my 40s when that happened. That was the first time I ever stopped and thought, maybe bad things happen on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it's never been and I'm superstitious when it comes to sports. I was a broadcaster for minor league hockey teams for years. You know, in the playoffs, if we lost, that tie went away. I always wore a suit and tie at the games.
Right.
And if the team lost in the postseason, that tie was done. You retired that tie. That was out. So I have the sports superstition very much. I'll sit in a certain seat. I'll wear certain things when my teams are playing, but the Friday the 13th does nothing for me.
And the reason why I think that struck with me, besides the fact that I admired him and I watched Meet the Press and he was my political junkie and what have you. But 4 years earlier, when I was living in Southwest Florida with you, Charlie was on a Friday the 13th. Okay. And so it's, within 5 years, two things that made me stop and go, So that's kind of in the last 20 years was the first time that I started thinking, maybe there's something to this Friday the 13th thing. I know there's something to this Braves Phillies thing.
You know, I was almost going to text you last night. First off, on the two TVs in the living room last night, football was not even on a television.
Was there gymnastics last night?
No, there was the Red Wings season opener.
I'm sorry.
Hockey and baseball is what I was going with. But
wow,
when they brought Kimbrel in, before the ninth inning, because it was necessary, I thought of you, David.
Yeah,
I really did. I said somewhere, and I'm not going to bother him, but right now I know he's watching and he's smiling, going, "It's about damn time."
Well, that was Rob Thompson
called to bring your closer in, and you bring your closer in.
Yeah, 2 on, 2 out, 3-1 game, and Acuna's on deck. And so he gave Kimbrel a margin for error if he couldn't get the 9-hole hitter out. Okay, then, he's facing Acuna, and he couldn't get the 9-hole hitter out, and so there he is. Bases loaded, the series hanging in the balance. You've got your best reliever against their best player. Okay. He hits it to the wall. Center fielder makes a nice play. Okay. Whew. Got out of that one. Can't get beat with your third best. Well, it's the 7th inning, and so, it's my pre-setup guy. That's his turn. And then the next inning, for the heart of their order, we'll put my second best reliever out there. And for the bottom part of the order, well, then we'll bring in my best reliever. No.
This is the game right now.
Yeah.
I give up a hit now. I could lose this sucker.
Right. We got our foot on their throat. I'm trying to apply as much pressure as possible. So, I like that kind of managing. I do. This was when Theo Epstein took over the Red Sox 20 years ago. He talked about that. Because he was saying, we're going to be big into numbers and what have you. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, We just signed Keith Folk as our closer. Maybe the pressure situation's the 8th inning. Your closer doesn't always have to pitch the 9th. What? Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, 2, 3, 4 is coming up in the 8th inning. Why would you not put your best pitcher against their best hitters? I mean, this isn't that much rocket science, is it? Yeah, okay. It's going to cost the guy a save. We'll keep track. At the end of the year, you had 34 saves. I'll say, you could have had 38, but we brought you in the 8th inning a few times. So don't worry. We'll give you credit for it. Besides, hire Scott Boras. He'll keep track. Trust us. Boy, will he ever. So
Acuna and Olsen go 5 of 30 in the series.
Well, Betts and Freeman went what? 1 for the series between the two of them for the Dodgers?
4 best players in the National League all laid an egg in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were like 6 for 54 or something like that combined. That playoff baseball, very different. Mark, is playoff baseball more radically different than playoff hockey?
I would have never said that a decade ago, but I'm starting to believe that it is, David.
Man, playoff hockey is so different than regular season hockey. I mean, they hit everything that moves in playoff hockey. In regular season hockey, it's almost like you get penalized if you hit someone.
In fact, they called Jack Hughes for a penalty, the Devils' great forward last night, for, I thought, making a hit.
Right. Hey.
For roughing, and I went,
roughing?
I don't recognize this sport right now.
I was going to say roughing. Roughing? I was going to send that as like textbook video for how you make a check. Huh. Interesting. And you're not even a physical player. I don't want to say the sport's getting soft anything 6 months out of the year, but hey, at least everybody plays every night. NBA. Quick tangent, by the way. Man, the NBA is talking up this whole, you got to play 82 games. I really think the players are all like Kawhi going, dude, you can talk it up as much as you want. You can change every damn rule. We ain't playing. If we don't want to play, we're not playing. Cat's out of the bag, baby. You guys are screwed.
It will be interesting to pay attention to how the load management goes this year in the association.
Yeah. Well, if you don't play 65 games, you're not eligible for any awards. You do know I'm making $50 million, right? Do you really care? Do I care about that award? Besides, you dumb reporters, you keep voting me on the all NBA teams, even though I'm playing 53 games. That's where the money is, not these damn awards. All right. So, listen, you didn't miss much with the football.
Oh, no. I was paying attention to the score, and I know I didn't miss really a damn thing other than some sweet shots of Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Apparently her and Mahomes' wife, getting to know each other. Her future mother-in-law is there. That's her thing.
Breaks on that one.
I'm just having fun. Just, for the 4 Swifties we have listening, Felipe being one of them. Hey, you didn't work last night. Did you watch the game?
Oh, I watched.
Okay. All right. So were you disgusted every time they did a Taylor Swift cutaway? My goodness.
Put it this way. The woman that I was watching the game with, every time they put Taylor Swift on the screen, was saying, are you serious?
I would like to know what else they're supposed to show during that game, because that was a bad football game. They were in the 4th quarter, and Denver had 54 yards passing.
See, I can actually agree with that.
I was going to say, they had less than 200 yards offense in the whole game. Russell Wilson threw for less than 100 yards, like 80 if you include the sacks. I mean, Felipe, you got to admit, Amazon didn't have a lot of options last night. And that's after Al Michaels did an interview in the middle of the day in which he said, we're not going to let the side show become the main show. All right, Al. All right. Take your $1 million, get back on your private plane, and go back home. I mean, take it easy now. Al, if Amazon doesn't care who watches, Just as long as they're watching.
They're
okay?
watching. That's
Right.
I mean,
They're
we
paying-
are getting really uptight about
I know.
who watches a football game, and
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, we literally have war in the Middle East. Why are we getting bent out of shape about Swift and Kelsey? I mean, in fact, I would think it'd be even more reason to embrace something as superfluous as you could. Man, this is mindless. Could you give me more? I could use a little mindless this week. Ah, look, is that a different shade of red on her lips? Ah, I like it. I mean, man, give me as much mindless as you can. Can I have a Royals update? What are Harry and Meghan up to? Honestly, man, give me some more trivial.
because the real world sucks.
Ooh,
That's why we're doing sports on a football Friday.
Right.
Now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
I mean, if something bad happens to you on this Friday the 13th, it might be one of the better things that happens this week. Damn. Golly. Besides, as Mark said, are we supposed to show you the Denver Broncos? What, you want more Sean Payton cutaways? He looks terrible, by the way.
And
Terrible.
did you see the beef between Jerry Jeudy and Steve Smith before the game?
Yes, I did. And
Oh!
and I was hoping to have you play it and do a segment on it. That's how good I thought that was.
Locked and loaded.
All right. Full disclosure. I love Steve Smith. I like him personally. I like him as a broadcaster. I wish we had more broadcasters that were willing to just let it rip like that. Not care. This is what I feel. I know I'm going to get for it. I don't care. This is what I feel. By the way, I played the game at a very high level. Steve Smith's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he should be. Don't know if he'll get in, but Steve Smith's a borderline Hall of Famer. Jerry Jeudy, a borderline Hall of Famer?
No, Jerry Jeudy, as Steve Smith described as a jag.
There you go.
Just
What's
a
that?
guy.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Not a Jacksonville Jag.
No. In fact, a tier 3 receiver.
A tier 3.
That's a first-round draft pick. He calls him a tier 3 receiver.
And he mentioned the fact that he was a first-round draft pick.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Jerry Jeudy, motivated by Steve Smith. What did he have last night? Like 2 catches for 2 yards? Wow. Steve Smith doesn't know what he's talking about.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
This is just selfish of me, but with all these rumors of Jerry Jeudy being circled in trade talks, I know they just signed Claypool, but
Why would you want him?
Jerry Jeudy on the Dolphins?
Well, first off, the Dolphins aren't going to go. If the Dolphins are going to make any more acquisitions, it's probably going to be on the offensive line. They got three. Looks like they're going to have 3 starters out Sunday.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. I'm not suggesting it's going to happen, but I'm just imagining like, damn. Get Tua's wide receivers back.
Now, I could see Philadelphia
Ooh.
picking him up, getting him back around Devontae, and kind of picking up his morale. Jalen Hurts, Devontae, and saying, "Hey, come on now."
See, that also sounds nice.
Because now if you bring him back, that's a hell of a third receiver.
Now he would be a third receiver. I don't know
Exactly.
how well he'll take that, but
He'd also go from a 1-5 team to a 5-0 team.
this is true. But he's got to put his ego aside for this one.
Well, if you get traded, your ego takes a hit.
Mr. Jones, no. We've never planned on it. We've never considered it, and we never, ever would.
No, it's just no.
That is so inside. I don't even know if they do that on NHL radio. We'll do NHL guests from time to time, but not fantasy. You think about how few people play fantasy football. Think about how many fewer play fantasy hockey.
I will say, though, Mr. Jones, Pat McAfee is great for the NHL. He does regular hockey segments.
Well, yesterday I thought was the first one. They introduced their Hockey is Awesome segment.
Uh-huh. And John Buccigross is like, this is the most exposure this sport has gotten on this network in 15 years.
He's doing he's going to do it weekly now, that Hockey is Awesome. I saw his interview with Nick. It was great. Tells Nick at the end of it, all right, now you better win by 47 before you come back on next week.
Apparently Nick's making like $1 million to do that weekly appearance. And so is Aaron Rodgers, apparently. Right. Apparently McAfee's paying him out of his own pocket.
Nick Saban might have one of the greatest phone books in football history, like his contact list.
Felipe, when Pat used to come into the studio a handful of times a year and do his segment with us in person, and usually we'd go get some pinchers and he'd eat, or his friends would eat while Pat did the segment. And when Pat would come in, John Cassio would grab his phone from him and go sit where you were. And the entire time we're interviewing Pat, John is just taking Pat's contact list and transferring it to his phone. Pat would say, now there are certain people like Goodell that you can't contact.
I'm not going to lie. The first time that I came here, my first day here, we had Greg Norman on. And I'm staring at Greg Norman's phone number, and I'm like, "Should I take a picture of this?"
I always laugh because when we did the show out of my house, I did all the calls. So I always joke around because my buddy Jim Albert's right next to Troy Aikman on the phone.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you on this Friday the 13th, but it's better than that. It's a football Friday.
Football Friday.
There we go. We got some very interesting games this week, too. Very interesting games. I mean, what would you be thinking about the Canes Tar Heels game if not for the debacle of an ending of Miami's last game? Because let's face it, Mark, teams are usually resilient. Young people are resilient. I mean, don't you think they put that behind them and they're looking ahead? I mean, there's nothing on Miami's goals list that still cannot be attained. They just have no margin for error to attain it.
And you would think that they're pissed off and angry and hungry and all of those things, a little embarrassed. And usually when those things build up, you get a very energized performance.
And so here they are, facing an undefeated, nationally ranked top 15 team on the road.
I think the rest of the nation is also preying on their downfall at this point.
Well, listen, most of the rest of the nation doesn't root for Miami anyway. They're a polarizing program going back a couple generations. I mean, you're either pro-Cane or anti-Cane. There's not a ton that's indifferent about the Hurricanes. I mean, even if you're an ACC fan, you probably don't like the Canes. Why? Because they're DU. We don't like DU.
Well, because of that, I feel like people laugh the hardest when the Canes have a tragic downfall like last week.
I think you believe people care more about the Canes than they actually do. I think the Canes are not relevant to the majority of the college football fan out there anymore. I really no, I don't think. I mean, I think this is a Miami guy who's read some articles and you're upset that they're making fun of your school that you root for again or something, because it's not the narrative. No one talks about Miami. Miami's talked about when they're good. They're not good. Nobody thought they were good before the Georgia Tech game. No one thinks they're good now. At best, they're an average football team. That's who they are.
But they've fallen so hard from what they once were.
But that narrative's been talked about and, rinse, repeat. I mean, and they had a rebirth for 6 weeks in 2017. I mean, really, in the last – in 2005, they were playing games in November when they were ranked third in the country. I mean, and then in 2017, Mark Richt had them undefeated number 2. I mean, that's it. I mean, Felipe, in the last 20 years, those are the two moments in time where the Canes went into November and they were a player. Twice in 20 years. So –
but I'm more worried about if Texas is back. I mean, the question is Miami back, it's never been brought up because they're not. Now, Chris is doing a great job recruiting. It was certainly a huge knock on what they have been trying to accomplish there. But to your point, David, their goals are, from their standpoint, inside that locker room, their goals are still in front of them.
And Felipe, listen, I hate the fact that Miami threw that game away the way they did. I want the Canes. I want Florida State, and Miami to be how they were when I moved to Florida 25 years ago. When it was the center of the damn college football world was the state of Florida. That was awesome. Awesome times. It really was. Never mind the fact you had Bowden and Spurrier. I mean, legendary coach. It's amazing. I don't know if we'll ever get it again, and it's a shame because it was glorious. But can I spin this? What if Miami wins? In a way, because Oregon-Washington is the oxygen this week. That's the game. And even if Miami was undefeated, it'd be getting some attention. But it's going to be a distant second to Oregon-Washington.
And probably third to USC and Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame's lost 2 games. I mean, that's just a fact.
But because of the Miami debacle, now what if they win? Think about the regard, by the way, that a lot of people go, wow, that's impressive. Those kids be able to put that, beside them. And and maybe post game we see a little different side of Mario Cristobal. I mean, I think this is a huge moment for Miami. They could turn that debacle, I don't want to say into a positive, but an attention getter, because people have talked and paid attention to them for 48 hours this week when they haven't in 5 years.
You're absolutely right, because from a morale standpoint, it would save the season, because they are coming off what a lot of people in the Cane circle consider to be the worst loss in Miami Hurricanes history.
No,
I think it deserves some consideration.
Well, they lost 2 national championship games that they arguably had won, but
for stakes, of course not. But in terms of the way that people, the way that they embarrass themselves.
Well, listen, it obviously the way they lost, it will always be the worst way they lost.
Right, that's what I mean.
Much like the Giants. The Giants aren't going to lose worse than Pisarcik and Zonka. I mean, that ain't going to happen.
They lost FIU and Middle Tennessee State in the last 5 years.
I remember that FIU loss. I was there for that Middle Tennessee loss.
I don't know what to tell you. The Georgia Tech game pales in comparison to losing to FIU and Middle Tennessee State.
But the way that they lost.
No question, but it's not
for stakes, of course not.
No, not period.
But once again, just because the way they lost, that doesn't make it the worst loss, if you know what I mean. It does in a small way. I mean, I would argue in the, what was it, like 97 when Florida State beat them like 47-0. I mean, ask a Canes fan about that. It's like, oh my goodness, what in the world? That's why when they came back 4 years later to beat them, it was like, oh. But I just think it's a huge opportunity for Cristobal and Miami here. In which, Mark, I don't want to say they'd get more credit for winning this Saturday than they would have if they had held on against Georgia Tech, gone into North Carolina a slight underdog, and beaten the Tar Heels. There's a part of me that thinks they might actually get more respect winning this Saturday after what happened last Saturday.
But if they lose, it will all be blamed on how the game ended against Georgia Tech and they couldn't respond, and the season was, Felipe, you're right, was essentially ended in Georgia Tech if they lose this week. That's what's at stake. Now, you spin it the same way the Gators, what they have on the line this week.
Oh, well, I mean, Bud Elliott laid it out. He goes, they lose at South Carolina. Now a bowl game becomes in doubt. Hey, our close personal friend of the both of us, he likes to get on that bowl projection site. Do you know where the Gators are projected, what bowl game they're projected to be in right now? The Boca Raton Bowl.
That's an SEC team?
I have no idea how that happens, but Mark, here's my question. Do Gator fans sell that sucker out because of obviously close proximity and, hey, what the heck? Or do 13 of them go to that game?
I'd go with B.
I mean, so that's what I think is on the line tomorrow in Columbia, South Carolina. Is the Gator season going to end up in the Boca Raton Bowl? A lot on the line here in Columbia.
Wow.
A third straight 6-7 season on the line for the Gators. Whew. Just saying. Hey, at least it's a 3:30 start. We know they're not very good at noon.
The New Mexico Bowl's out. I mean, my goodness, the Boca Raton Bowl, that's really going all out for the Gators.
I think they're just trying to lose less money on travel. That's why they're putting them there.
Are they bringing the band? That's all we would want to know.
I think they're driving themselves, but they'll be there, yes. So a lot riding south of, with the Gators and the Canes this week.
Football Friday, 7 o'clock. Lee Sterling will join us on the show. We'll make our picks at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Pat Kirwan at 8. But on the other side, it's the starting 5 right here. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. 20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So if the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins and tank, should they tank to a point where they could get Caleb Williams?
Yeah, if you're going to tank.
Yeah, that I think that might be the way. I mean, what? This is Kirk Cousins' last year of his deal, no?
Yep.
This will likely be his last year as a Viking.
Here's the problem, though. Unless you're picking first, the Bears have Carolina's pick. The Bears ain't going to trade it to the Vikings. First off, they may want it for themselves, but they ain't going to trade it to the Vikings. You need Arizona. You either need to finish with the first pick or you need Arizona to have it. And the problem is Arizona has Texas's pick, right? Or Houston's pick. Right? Doesn't Chicago have Carolina's and Houston has, or Arizona has Houston's?
Hang on. Bear with me. I think you're right. I'm just double checking. Yes.
And Houston's already won a couple games, and it doesn't look like the Texans are going to be involved in the top 5 sweepstakes. So
I mean, even if Minnesota doesn't get Williams,
I think the tanking for Tua proved how hard it is to tank in this league too.
because remember, the players won't tank.
Jack Hughes is really good.
Yeah, he is.
He's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. They're fun to watch.
They are. Detroit played great last night. Detroit outskated them in the first period. I mean, even the announcers are like, Detroit's the faster team. It's like, okay, I can, like, I watched that game last night going, I can watch this team for 80 games. They were entertaining. What I forgot to try to put the Florida game on last night. I went right to the football game after the Wings were over. I don't know if on ESPN Plus, because I'm in the markets, if I get my local teams.
Huh.
I don't have Bally's.
Right.
Which would be bothersome to not watch the Panthers and the Lightning.
I agree. Panthers, by the way, outshot them 2-1 and just got beat by a goalie.
I freaking hate Bally Sports. I'm curious to see how Drake May does against UM. Like, is he just going to keep being Drake May? Is he going to tear them up?
I will say this would be the year. There will be a lot of quality college quarterbacks available on Friday.
Yes.
We could have a second and third round where we have a lot of quarterbacks taken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Bo Nix on Sunday guy, but some people really love that Michael Penix.
Yes.
This quarterback, oh my gosh.
I mean, the Washington-Oregon games got a lot of sex appeal.
I'm just curious.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Lee Sterling joins us at the top of the hour. By the way, his game of the week this week is the Gators and the Gamecocks. Hey, how about that for a little gambling tease? Yeah. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, coming up at the top of the hour. It wasn't a big sports night in terms of a lot of things happening, but man, was it eventful. Time now for...
Man versus technology once again.
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
How many days left? We have like 11. What do we got? Your mic's not on.
Just a month, David.
Okay. My goodness. We'll start with the NFL, and not because it deserves it, but because it's the biggest thing going. I will say this. If you're the Chiefs, you may have to start flying her in, because the boyfriend looked really good last night. Travis Kelce looked like a younger version of Travis Kelce last night. 9 catches, 124 yards. That's like 14 yards a catch. You know what he was averaging coming into the game? Like 8. 16th straight time the Chiefs have beaten the Broncos. Mark, if back in the day Pedro said that the Yankees were their daddy, what does that make the Chiefs to the Broncos?
Daddy.
Granddaddy? Daddy of them all?
Dad of the month? I don't know, but it's certainly
supreme,
like their oomph.
Supreme leader?
Supreme Papa, I believe is what it's called.
19-8. We did say you might want to go the under because Kansas City's just not scoring and they're playing really good defense. Chiefs are 5-1, and the Broncos are 1-5. So they got that going for them. 16th straight win, as I mentioned. Total yards, it's only like 389 to 197. I mean, this game was close. Yeah. Russell Wilson threw for 95 yards. if you throw the sacks in, their passing game netted 82 yards of offense. You know, that's not a good look for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
No. And I think particularly for Sean Payton, he was supposed to be able to come in and fix this.
Correct. And remember, last year they were horribly coached and prepared.
Correct.
And this year they're 1-5. Russ with a TD and 2 interceptions.
And no one in the league is minding them getting pounded. Because Sean Payton broke a code there. I have no problem with it because I do a talk show. But you know, in that league, you can't come on the air and start bad-mouthing other coaches. It's just something you don't do in that league. So no one in the league's minding the fact that they have one win.
And I will say, you know, we have interesting phenomenon going on in the NFL right now. Because Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. And he is struggling. Sean Payton was a borderline Hall of Fame coach. I mean, New Orleans has never had the success in their franchise history that they had until Sean Payton arrived. I mean, they were a Super Bowl contender for half of his 15 years in New Orleans. And Russell Wilson was a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback a year and a half ago. And all three of them right now are doing a horrible job. Have they lost it, or is this a thing? If it's a thing, man, is it quite a thing. One other NFL note, and this dates me, and Mark, I don't know if you remember this or not. Walt Garrison, who was part of the Cowboys backfield, Tom Landry's first great backfield with Dwayne Thomas, Calvin Hill, the team that beat the Dolphins and won Super Bowl VI to get Landry off the Chris Berman schneid, if you will. Walt Garrison died yesterday at the age of 79. But Walt Garrison, while an active NFL player, was a rodeo star. And then Landry said, yeah, you can't do that. He was actually, Mark, doing rodeo during the season. And Landry had to say to him, Walt, there's a thing in your contract. You get hurt doing rodeo, we don't have to pay you. So Walt said, well, okay, I'll do it during the offseason. But, Mark, the thing that I remember Walt Garrison for, do you remember the smokeless tobacco commercial?
Yep.
And I said tobacco like that for a reason, because Walt Garrison was a cowboy from the Southwest, and that's how he said tobacco. And one of the last times that they were allowed to advertise tobacco on television, the commercial I remember was Walt Garrison saying, now just take a little pinch between your cheek and gums and you can get full tobacco pleasure. And I think it was for Skoll and Copenhagen.
Skoll.
Besides that, he was a pretty damn good football player. Walt Garrison died at the age of 79. Did anybody see the ending to the West Virginia-Houston game? Holy blank. First off, Houston's got West Virginia beat, and then they give up 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes, including a 50-yard touchdown with 12 seconds to go. It's going to be a crushing defeat for the Cougars. We still don't have a new Big 12 team who's won a Big 12 game yet. Only for Houston to throw a 49-yard Hail Mary on the final play of the game for a walk-off win and cover. 41-39. Nuts. I think Brando was doing the game. You can only imagine what the call was like. SMU beat East Carolina 31-10. Dion and the Buffaloes are in action tonight.
And he's not happy about it.
No, he thinks playing Friday night's stupidest thing ever, I think he said.
Yes.
So we got the Indiana coach who's like, I really don't even want to show up for these games. I'd almost rather forfeit. And you got Dion, getting Coach Prime, getting a big network spot. Not interested. They're hosting Stanford, like 11-point favorites. So the Phillies did it to the Braves again. Mark, the Braves have quite the postseason history. For 30 years, damn near year in, year out, they have been a World Series contender. They've won it twice. And in terms of great regular season Braves teams of the last 32 years, where does the 2023 Braves rank?
It's going to rank really high, David.
Really high.
It's in the top 3.
Yes, they are. And they'll be watching the Phillies and the Diamondbacks in the LCS. Phillies did it to them again in 4 again. They hit 3 solo homers, 2 of them from Nick Castellanos. He did something that has never been done in baseball playoff history the last 48 hours. He hit multiple homers in back-to-back playoff games. 2 in Game 3, 2 in Game 4. And baseball is going to pick up on the momentum of the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, and they're going to play Game 1 on Monday. Oh, boy.
Hey, shut up and cash the checks. You
Yep.
complain about it, that's all I'm saying to you.
No.
I don't want to hear another word. Not one word about when these series start. Shut up and cash the checks, Moulton.
Listen, I am Mr. Shut Up and Cash the Checks.
I know.
I'm just saying, if I'm MLB, the Phillies are already in Philadelphia. Arizona could get on a plane today. I'm just saying. I mean, maybe you'd want. But, Fox said, we got a lot of football over the weekend.
You're damn right they said that.
Okay.
Should be honored that they're still putting the games on television.
And so, of course, they're going to put the game on Monday night up against the Cowboys game. I mean, it's going to Philly, Arizona baseball should get a lot of viewership going up against the Cowboys and the Chargers. The ALCS, by the way, gets underway Sunday night. A few people might watch that game because the game on is going to be the Bills and the Giants. That's going to have about as much sex appeal as last night's game did, minus Taylor Swift. So second year in a row, Phillies eliminate the Braves. So last year we had a 5 seed and a 6 seed in the LCS. This year in the National League we have a 4 seed and a 6 seed. In the American League we have a 2 seed and a 5 seed. And also we have an in-state battle. We don't get that very often. That whole Houston, Texas thing. Okay, NHL. Panthers began their season last night by dominating the Minnesota Wild. They outshot them 41-21. Mark, the problem is Philip Gustafson for the Wilds made 41 saves. And so the Panthers lost 2-spit. There's not a stat they didn't win last night. Drawing penalties, shots, hits, face-offs, they dominated.
Except for that important one.
Right.
Putting the biscuit in the basket, and they were unable to.
Once again, goaltending in hockey, kids, is very important. Rangers beat Buffalo in Peter Lavallette's debut 5-1. Philly doubled up Columbus 4-2. Vegas is 2-0 in defense of Lord Stanley's Cup, 4-1 over San Jose. Mark, were you entertained by the Devils beating the Wings 4-3?
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, the Devils are a Stanley Cup contender. The Wings are a team that is going to try to make the playoffs. It was a very fast-paced, good game, and this just in, Jack Hughes for the Devils is really good.
Yes, he is. Devils, my Stanley Cup finalist, losing to Dallas, who beat St. Louis 3-1 last night. Meanwhile, the Preds get the Kraken off to an 0-2 start. Nashville beat them 3-0. Kraken have scored 1 goal in their first 2 games. Golf, the Shriners Children's Hospital Open in Vegas. Bo Hostler with a 1-shot lead at 9 under. Lexi Thompson, however, acquitted herself very well yesterday. 1 over through 16, which has her 1 shot away from making the proverbial cut, if you will. However, she has to play a hole and change today to wrap up her first round, and she's facing a 20-footer for par on the 17th. But Lexi Thompson, 3 birdies, 2 bogeys, and a double yesterday in a PGA Tour event. Remember, Annika, when she played the Colonial, she shot 1 over in her first round and then like 4 or 5 over in her second. Soccer, Messi came off the bench for Argentina. First off, I'm confused. I thought after the World Cup, he said, I'm done playing for my country. Basically, I've done all I can do.
Yeah,
obviously that. And we both said, no, the country calls, he'll be there. Guess what? The country called, and he came off the bench, played 40 minutes, looked healthy in Argentina's 1-0 win over Paraguay. Here's what I don't understand. It's in World Cup qualifying. They won the World Cup. Aren't they automatically in? Why are they a part of World Cup qualifying? I mean, aren't there 4 countries that are automatically in the World Cup? The defending champs, and then since it's the U.S., Canada, and Mexico that are hosting the World Cup, I think all 3 of those nations get automatic bid.
That I know.
Right. Why does the host get a bid but not the defending champion?
Well, I thought the defending champion did, no?
Maybe not, because this is the first time we've ever gone to a 3-host system. We're going to 48. I mean, this whole thing's a mess now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the World Cup, they beat baseball to the punch. They're like, you want more teams in? Done.
Double it.
We'll get the U.S. through to the medal round. How many teams we got to let in? 112. Do it. We need the TV money. Shut up and cash the checks. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
If I'm right, and I'm often not, but if I'm right and Argentina's got an automatic spot in next year's World Cup, that would really honk me off, losing to them in World Cup qualifying. It'd be like, what the hell are we playing them for?
I'm just going to make a bold assumption that if they're in the qualifier, that they have to qualify.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Well, I've always thought it's ridiculous that the U.S. is having to qualify for the Olympics in basketball. I mean, seriously? How many golds do we need to win?
Didn't win gold in the FIBA. Just saying.
I mean, we've not won 1 gold in 50 years. I mean, shouldn't we be in? No? Okay.
Lee Sterling coming up to make his picks. We'll make ours next hour. Pat Kirwan in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll go through the great NFL and college schedule as well on this show. Miller and Moulton. It's what we do. It's a Football Friday. Lee Sterling next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to
Hello,
tap
friends.
the vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Morning, Lee.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I'm texting you the.
I got it.
Okay, and I'm sending you. I have a 40 to 50 unit play. Sending you that also. Going to college, first college one of the year. So, trying to recover. I had West Virginia last night.
Well, first off, you had a miracle cover followed by a miracle beat.
Right, miracle cover. Did you see the play late third quarter where it looks like the receiver for West Virginia has the ball in his hands in the end zone? They show the extended highlights. Has it in his hands, and I think the defensive back looks like it's going to be a touchdown, pops it out in the end zone and goes to the other guy. So that was a nice flip that went against me too. But crazy ending. And then I had on Saturday, Missouri go the pick six against me. And then obviously, I'm a Hurricanes fan. So
yeah, that Canes, that was quite something.
Yep. And he did it. I was telling everyone he did
6
it
years earlier. Yep.
I was up for that game, and I'm like, I even told my wife, I'm like, you're not going to believe what this guy did. He might be our coach one day. And then when he was hired, I told Hockman and Crowder at QAM. I told guy Kane Sport. I said, listen, great recruiter, really good motivator.
Yep.
Needs to hire someone even at $100,000 just to be in charge of game management.
We have Bud Elliott on all the time. Bud Elliott said it from day one that he's got Cristobal ranked at about as low as you can in terms of in-game coaching in his power thing.
Right. Agree with it. Where are you headed? Where are your two games this week?
Well, the first one's not very sexy. A&M Tennessee.
Okay, but two pretty good teams.
Yeah, it's an elimination game in the SEC. And Monday night's Dallas and the Chargers. So
okay. What going to Chicago next weekend? My daughter's singing the national anthem. They were staying at the Marriott Marquis. It's probably been a while since you've been there, right?
It's been a few years, and also the last time I was there was with Fox, and they used to put us in the hotel directly across from Trump's hotel, whichever one that was.
Okay. Any good restaurants? Any good restaurants?
Is that a serious question in Chicago?
Well, do you have any favorites? Any favorites, near the stadium or near that area? I can't hear you. You froze up.
You're fine.
Okay. Put it this way. I'm the wrong guy to ask because I don't usually, but I will. There's a couple of Chicago people I know. I will inquire.
Okay.
You'll be near the stadium?
Okay. Near the stadium, yeah.
Near the stadium. Okay. I'll text you.
I appreciate it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on not just a Friday the 13th, but a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And we begin it the way we always do with Lee Sterling. He of Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Back-to-back winners on his game of the week, although suffered a bad beat last night on a Hail Mary with West Virginia and Houston. That's why they call it gambling, Lee. How are you?
Believe it or not, I lost Missouri last week on a pick six. Lost Florida State, which was laying 23.5, up 22-0 to start the second quarter. Scored all 3 first drives, and lost last night. And I'm still 8-4 since that time. So losing some heartbreakers, but still winning. But and then the Miami game. I mean,
Mark, that is true. So, I mean, he lost on a pick six with under 30 seconds to go, and he loses on a 50-yard Hail Mary on the final play of the game last night. You are close to quite a run here.
Well, and then we all know his love of the Canes, and we were talking about that earlier in the show. Their big loss. It'll be interesting how they come back. And I'm going to start there. I know it's not the first game on your list, but since we're talking a little Canes and what happened last week, Cristobal, not a good game coach. We've documented that. You've talked about it. Bud Elliott's talked about it. But now they've got an opportunity for a little redemption after a huge blunder. They're getting 3.5 against North Carolina.
So I was trying to think back of anything worse as far as a defeat for Miami. Maybe the only more heartbreaking loss was the Miami-Ohio State game, because it also happened at the end of the season and ruined a chance to win a national championship. But if I was Mario Cristobal, here's what's crazy is I don't think he understood until he got back in the locker room what he did wrong. And that to me is mind-boggling. But if I was the coach, I probably would have told my team, this one's on me. I'm going to donate my salary for, I don't know whether it's the week or the month. I'm going to show up at 5 a.m. because, you know, just like you guys don't show up for class or do something wrong. I made the mistake, and I'm going to pay the price and be there at 5 a.m. and do crabs or running, whatever it is, for a week straight. And that's what I personally would have done. Probably didn't do that. We'll probably never know, but it was monumental what he did. But all their goals are still out in front of them. North Carolina hasn't played anyone, no one. App State scored 34 on them. Miami will be the best offense they faced this year so far, best defense, best special teams. Nothing like getting back out there quickly and trying to erase it. I think the time to fade Miami might be after this game, maybe next week, whether they win or lose. I think Miami's going to pull the upset, win this game 34-30.
Florida State laying 17.5 at home against Syracuse, who, after the undefeated start, has been spanked in back-to-back games. Can the Noles cover the number?
Probably. I think they learned a lesson. They're up 22-0. Start second period, scored the first 3 drives right down the field like it was nothing. And then they relaxed. And great teams need to learn that lesson. You need to keep pouring it on. Syracuse giving up, how about this? Ton of yards on defense, and they can't run. Used to be Schrader would run. They had a little bit of a running attack. They've gone from 158 to 100 to 92 rushing yards the last 3 weeks. They've lost Aronde Gadsden's son, which I thought was their best receiver. But he's a tight end, best receiver. Their number 2 receiver here. I think FSU rolls here, something like 42-21.
To Sundays we go. Jacksonville has an unbelievable record against the spread against Indianapolis. It's something like 12-1-2 in their last 15, or you I'm sure have the exact number, but it's pretty dominant. Do they continue that against the Colts this week? It's a 4-point game.
So this is the first in-division revenge game of the year. Love these games. I think there might be a little bit of jet lag from Jacksonville coming back from London being there for 2 weeks. Also, you get the fact here that this Jacksonville team, they're just not clicking. How about Calvin Ridley? I thought he was going to come in seamlessly, leading the league in drops. Trevor Lawrence, 3 touchdown passes the last 4 games. For some reason, this offense isn't clicking. Then you throw in, they got to be happy with themselves, patting themselves on the back for beating Buffalo. I think this is a great situational play. All of a sudden, you got Indianapolis can run the ball. You get your star running back. He finally is healthy and signed a contract. Got 2 guys in the backfield here. Getting more than a field goal at home. I'll go with Indianapolis outright here, 28-24.
It's in Jacksonville. Okay, that's the only thing.
Yep.
And the Minshew factor
right
at work. Minshew against his former team. So, all right. Jags, who had a horrible record of covering in Indianapolis, won and covered week 1. Colts, who have a horrible record of covering at Jacksonville, maybe they return the favor. Okay. One of the best games of the weekend. Never thought we'd be saying this. Lions at Bucks. Detroit, a road 3-point favorite.
Detroit's got injuries on the offensive line, possibly the best offensive lineman. Their new star tight end, Laporta, may not play because of a calf injury. All of a sudden showed up yesterday and sounds like it might be serious. Their best receiver, Brown's game time decision. Gibbs, game time decision. I don't think you can just, roll in and play a Tampa Bay team that has been sound and beat them convincingly. So I like what Tampa's defense is doing, at least 2 takeaways in each game. Baker Mayfield playing smarter than most times, not turning the ball over. Godwin last week, 8 catches, 114 yards. He's just distributing the ball to guys and letting them make plays here. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think this is going to be a battle of attrition. I think this might be one of those body bag games. A lot of guys are carried off. Just 2 physical teams here, 2 well-coached teams, 2 defensive-minded teams, and I think Tampa Bay pulls off the upset, 17-16.
Mm-hmm. Wrong team favored.
That would be big for the Bucs if they could pull that off. And funnily, I see that game a little differently. I actually think there's a chance that they could get the scoring going in that game, but we'll see how it turns out on Sunday. Finally, Miami takes on Carolina. They're a 13.5-point favorite. No Achane for Miami, but other than that, it shouldn't be much of a problem for the Dolphins.
So the line started at 13.5, went to 14. If Achane doesn't get put on the IR, missed the game, I think it was headed for 14.5, 15. But it's back to 13.5. This Carolina team is bad. They can't protect the quarterback. Their defensive backfield's in shambles with injuries. They can't guard anyone. And that's a problem when you're facing Miami. I just love the creativity of their coaching staff and what they're doing. This is the first time, I looked it up, first time that Miami's been a double-digit favorite in back-to-back weeks at home since 1995 when Dan Marino was quarterbacking this team. So sometimes you got to lay it. If you want to play it, the right team is favored. I like Miami here, 38-14.
All right, your game of the week, a virtual pick'em. Gators on the road, getting 2 at South Carolina.
Yeah. It looks like a pick'em. One side, I think, is going to be an easy winner. You want to get it for free, be one of the first 10 callers. Call 800-400-9741. Give you this game for free. 800-400-9741 if you want to check out the site. Got a lot of new videos up there, a bunch of big games going on around the country, USC, Notre Dame. I mean, the list goes on and on. Washington and Oregon. That's a great game if you like offensive football. And what a roll we've been on. 47, 22, and 2. Our first 40 to 50 unit selection of the year goes on Saturday. We're 62 and 20 documented on those. You guys have that tweeted out on Saturday when the game starts. You want to get involved? Locktober, 3 weeks, $247, one place, ParamountSports.com.
So to review, he's laying the points with the Knowles and the Dolphins, but he's calling for the Canes in an upset, getting 3.5. Likes the Colts getting 4 in Jacksonville, and is calling for the Bucs to win straight up, and they're getting 3. Game of the week, Gators and Gamecocks. He's Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Follow him on Twitter/X at Paramount Sports, 800-400-9741. Lee, safe travels. All the best. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Lee Sterling, his daughter singing the anthem at the Vikings-Bears game. So he and they are headed to Chi-Town, a little Windy City action. You know how his daughter is, 9 straight years she's picked the over-under on the anthem properly?
It's maybe one of the most accurate handicapping things that we've ever had on this show.
So, when you're, I don't want to say a degenerate gambler, but you're a frequent gambler. And when you become aware of something like this, you also become aware of the person doing it. Lee's daughter is an actress. She's working off Broadway in New York City. So, of course, as an actress, what is she also doing? In spare time, she's waiting tables. No, and it's true.
Right.
I mean,
That's
right. I mean, the old line, Screen Actors Guild, what's the average actor make a year? $9,000. Why? Well, because 98% of them are waiting tables. Okay. And they're not making any money acting. But anyway, so she's waiting on a customer a couple months ago, and he leaves her a huge tip, like a tip bigger than the bill. And she's like, wow. And he says, keep getting that anthem right.
That's awesome. That is absolutely fantastic.
So I hope she knocks it out of the park Sunday, Vikings and Bears with the anthem, and safe travels and all that. So those are Lee's picks. 800-400-9741. We'll make ours coming up in about 25 minutes.
Lee and I are battling this week, David. Lee and I are battling. I am head-to-head with him on 2 games. And I'm not scared.
Oh, really?
Not even in the least bit.
Okay. All right.
I'll take on the handicapper. Bring him on.
Gotcha.
Particularly in one of the 2. The other one, when I wrote it down last night, there's injury news, but I'm still confident.
I have 8 picks written down. Okay, but only 6 that I'm definitely going to do. I'm torn on the other 2. Okay, and I'm already going head-to-head with Lee once. So this is a dramatic week for me right now, Mark. I still have 25 minutes to work it out.
Miller and Moulton, the play of the day. On the other side, we'll make our picks at the bottom of the hour. Pat Kirwan at the top of the 8 o'clock hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, we're in week 7 of picks, right?
Well, yeah.
You have 10 more picks than
I do. I got me with 9 more.
I've got me at 15 and 15. I've got you at 21 and 19.
No, you're 16 and 15. You went 4 and 1 last week. You were 12 and 14.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, you're 16 and 15.
Look at that.
I'm 21 and 19. You're 16 and 15. You've had 4 out of 5 winning weeks. I'm 3-0 and 1 the last 4 weeks in terms of winning weeks. So I got off to a disastrous start. You had a disastrous week. Otherwise, we've been pretty good. So if we're going to talk gambling here for a second, what did we say last week? And by we, I mean me, that the best play in the NFL is a road favorite.
Yep.
58+% winners going into last week. So what did I do? I took a bunch of home dogs, got my butt kicked. Okay, if it wasn't for the Steelers.
You went 1 and 2 on them.
Yeah, I know, but I got lucky because the Steelers pulling that game out.
Never.
Oh my!
They still should have covered, though.
I don't know.
I don't know. You're right.
So anyway, road favorites this week: Detroit. I don't consider Baltimore, Tennessee. It's in London. All right. The Vikings, a 1 and 4 team on the road favorite.
Almost picked them
without their best player. 49ers, 9.5 point favorite. Deshaun's not going to play.
Almost picked them.
Saints are a 1.5 point favorite in Houston. Eagles are a 7-point favorite at the Jets. Cowboys are a 2-point favorite at the Chargers. 6 road favorites this week.
And KG, the answer to your question is yes. And this Motor City Pizza, is that like a frozen pizza? Because I've never heard of it, but I'll never eat it because I don't do frozen pizza. Food snob. If I'm going to eat pizza, it's going to be from a pizza place.
So Johnny O believes in Friday the 13th. But then again, when it happens to you when you're, 18? Were you 18, Johnny? I could see where you'd believe in it. Ambient, you're not an Avs fan? You're an Avs fan. $17, okay. So, I mean, you're 70 now. I mean, it's not like you remember it or anything. You got something here?
I just thought we should go through some of the college games.
Okay.
When we do that whole NFL segment, we don't leave a whole lot of time for the college games.
All right, let's do it.
We need a poll question, too.
Yeah.
I have that Steve Smith audio for later, by the way.
Well, we can run that right now.
Actually, we could run that right
Let's
now.
do that right now. We'll run that.
All right.
Thought it might be the play of the day. See, I know it's got to be Nick Castellanos. I know.
I saw, and I know you would never do it, David, but I saw a picture on Facebook a friend of mine posted of two guys, both heavy, went as avocados as for Halloween, and their belly stuck out of the hole for where the pit was.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton make our picks against the number. Coming up next segment, Pat Kirwan, 40 minutes away to talk all things NFL. It is a Friday the 13th, but it is a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Felipe and the play of the day in a handful or so minutes. I have an apology to make to Jerry Jeudy. First hour of the show, I said that he had 2 catches for 2 yards. He apparently in the final 5 minutes of the game made a 13-yard reception. So Jerry Jeudy ended up with 3 catches for 14 yards.
That's your number 1 receiver. First-round draft pick, Jerry Jeudy, who before the game turned out to get involved in an incident with Steve Smith from the NFL Network. Steve Smith on his podcast had taken Jeudy to task and apparently thought he went a little too far and thought Jeudy has been playing better and went to talk to Jeudy and apologize for what he said and shake the man's hand, basically. Jeudy wanted nothing to do with Steve Smith. Called him names.
Wrong guy to be calling names.
It really is, David. Because Steve Smith's one of the 10 best trash talkers that's ever played in that league.
Without question. And if we did it by height, he'd be number 1.
And, well, Steve Smith then went back on camera and not only told the story of what happened, retold what he thought about Jerry Jeudy. Here's Steve Smith last night pregame on the NFL Network.
A short while ago, Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy was walking by, and Steve called out to him, and he got a different reaction.
I called out to him because on my podcast, Cut to It, I just talked about guys that maybe have not showed up in a way or in a manner. And so the word that I've used to describe him in the past was a jag, just a guy.
Just a guy.
And so when I saw him, he's playing well. I wanted to say to him face to face, like, hey, I know I said some things in the past I probably shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to say to him. His response, Mike Robb and Bucky, was ninja.
Ninja.
Yes, I'm using the word ninja. I'm just using the word ninja. I don't mess with you. And it was a curse word. And so I was like, all right. And then he repeated it. So I'll say it again. I'm sorry that I said you were a jag, just a guy who's an average wide receiver that you use a first-round pick on that isn't doing anything. I hope today that you actually show up in a way that you haven't showed up in the last couple of years since they drafted you. So if you ever got a problem with Agent 89, I'm sorry for saying that you're an average wide receiver that they eventually will move on. And when teams call me and asking, should they trade for you, I will say no, don't trade for Jerry Jeudy because he's mentally unable to handle constructive criticism from people who watch specifically, can he be a wide receiver? He could be a wide receiver. He's a tier 3. Go back into the studio. I'm done now. Thank you.
And took his microphone, his IFB, which is how you communicate in your earpiece, and took everything off, dropped it. He did a mic drop on field and called it a day.
Agent 89.
That's a takedown. That's an annihilation.
You know I'm not saying this because of that clip that we just played, because I said this 2 and 3 years ago. when I was lucky enough to be part of Thursday Night Football on Fox. It was simulcast with NFL Network. And so their crew was at all the games. And we would oftentimes see one another in the hotel, sometimes pregame meetings, but we all got together postgame in a conference room because usually everything was closed. So there would be food and drink in a room, and the Fox and the NFL Network people would hang together. And I've said this on the air. Don't know if I said it in our third act, but I definitely said it in our second act. Mark, I think he's a star. If I was running a network, that's a guy that I would end up putting front and center. I really would. He, A, is very knowledgeable. B, he's opinionated. Okay. C, he is very well spoken and he can get his point across. I mean, he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. He's got the credibility to comment about players and teams. There aren't 300 people in the history of the game that were better than Steve Smith. He's got credibility. I mean, he's 18 times the receiver Chris Collinsworth was. I'd give him a starring role on a network. I really would.
Is he one of, if not the greatest wide receiver in Carolina Panthers history?
Well, I don't know how much that really says, but yes, I think that he is.
To say that you're the greatest wide receiver in a franchise's history, I think says something.
You could argue he's the greatest player, though, in Carolina Panthers history. I mean, you picking him or Cam? You know, I mean, McCaffrey, but the career wasn't super long. Morgan, the linebacker, but, you know, Kuechly, but he ended up retiring early with concussion. But, I mean, you know, they've got some great players in their history. I could argue that's the best player they've ever had.
And you might win the argument. You really might. I'm sorry.
And he did as what, a 5'9" receiver?
Right.
I mean, he was a number one wide receiver at about 5'9.5". I mean, he did on a football field what Barkley did on a basketball court. Barkley played like he was 6'9". He was 6'4.5".
And Smith played like he was 6'1", and he was 5'9". Time now for our play of the day. Felipe, I'm guessing we're going to Philadelphia.
All year, all Miller and Moulton have told the entire audience and me straight to my face is that, yeah, the Braves are probably going to win the World Series. You know, this is one of the greatest offensive teams we've ever seen, ever. But there's this thing called playoff baseball where the improbable becomes probable. And Nick Castellanos in back-to-back games hits back-to-back home runs, 2 home runs in 2 games for Nick Castellanos.
Pitch to him, swung on, hit well, deep to left field, toward the pole. It is gone! Just inside the pole, down the left field line. The ballpark is in a frenzy as Castellanos sprints around the bases. Liam has popped down to the bottom level again, and the Phillies have tied it up at 1. Swung on, hit in the air, blasted deep to left field. No doubt about this one. Into the foot of the second deck, a solo home run. Nick Castellanos has hit his second solo home run of the night, and the Phillies are on top 3-1. What a shot that was.
Trey Turner, in between all that, adds a solo home run himself, and the Phillies take down the Braves 3-1 to advance to the National League Championship Series for the second year in a row. It's the first time in Major League Baseball history that a team, the Braves, have won 100 games in back-to-back seasons and been eliminated by the same opponent in back-to-back seasons. Also the first time ever that a player has back-to-back 2 home run games in playoff history.
And that's our play of the day. The Phillies move on to take on the Diamondbacks in a series that everybody has been clamoring for since around early May.
Man, I felt so good about my Braves beating the Rays in the World Series pick in late March. And I mean, I felt good about it for 6.5 months. Man. So the Braves are 0-4 in Philadelphia in the last 2 playoffs.
Yes.
Strider's pitched in 2 of the games. Think about this, by the way. Braves got beat both times they sent their best pitcher to the hill.
Well, the Braves, I thought I saw it last night that they had 40 some odd home runs in the first inning during the regular season. They had 2 hits in the first inning. in the series against the Phillies.
And
2 hits.
Austin Riley and Acuna go 5 for 30 combined. Is that what you said earlier?
And Riley hit 2 home runs.
Olsen,
Matt
not
Olson.
not Riley. Olsen and Acuna. They're 2 best players. I mean,
right, yeah.
Guys that are going to finish 1st and 4th in the MVP voting.
So the Phillies won 15 less games than the Braves last year, 86-101 when they took them out. And this year they won 14 less games, 90-104 when they took them out. It's as if playoff baseball and regular season baseball are different. Huh. Miller and Moulton make their picks. Next.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what, Ambien? I'd pick the Phillies, but after another week off, who knows? I mean, both teams are essentially getting a week off. I have no clue.
There's a part of me. Can you imagine what the ratings would be for a Texas Rangers Arizona Diamondbacks World Series?
Oh my gosh.
Even though the markets involved would be Dallas and Phoenix. Well,
Do you have to put anything more than do you believe in Friday the 13th? Do you believe in Friday?
Or do you believe in the Friday the 13th superstition? That
There you go.
or in a Friday the 13th superstition, either the or a, whatever you prefer. Oh yeah, DC. We did talk about this late in the regular season, that if this team doesn't get to the World Series, absolutely, this is up there with, well, you know, the 97 team that lost to the Marlins.
Wow. I just saw how Houston won.
Yeah. Did you see the West Virginia score 12 seconds earlier. West Virginia threw a 50-yard touchdown pass with 12 seconds to go to take the lead, and they were going to cover. And then Houston in 12 seconds gets the ball to midfield so they can throw a Hail Mary. Unreal. We did a Georgia-Tennessee game, Burns last year, 2016. Georgia Eason threw a 50-yard touchdown pass with 10 seconds to go, and they're going to beat Tennessee. And they get a celebration penalty, and they squib the kick, and Tennessee returns it past midfield, and they throw a Hail Mary on the final play of the game, and Juwan Jennings caught it for the win. So we did a game with 2 touchdowns in the final 10 seconds.
It's amazing. I got to find the Houston audio for that call. And they probably went crazy.
First Big 12 win, too.
Right.
Yeah, see? I didn't see that, Yinzer. Because the same thing happened with Georgia. They got a celebration penalty, so they were kicking off from like the 20, and they squibbed it. And Tennessee, fielded it like the 40 and went across midfield. Would have been like a 60-yard field goal if I remember it to tie. And Butch Jones said, no, we'll throw it in the end zone. And Gary made one of the best comments he's ever made. Tennessee had 3 tall receivers, and Georgia didn't have a DB over 6 feet. And he pointed out the height of the 3 Tennessee receivers and said, they might have something here.
Jake was at that game.
And Juwan Jennings, 6'5", went up and caught it. And it was already announced that it was Vern's last year. And Vern laid out after the call. And about 20 seconds later, he said, boy, I'm going to miss this.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until Pat Kirwan will join us to go through all the NFL games. By the way, six road favorites. We point that out because last week we pointed out that road favorites are the best bet in the NFL so far this year, and they were last week also. 6 road favorites this week. Just saying. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour. Hey, I thought we were on a shape-up.
We are, but, Thursday nights, at least back in the college days, that was the beginning of the weekend. So we went out. We were a little hungover this morning. We didn't want to work out.
Gotcha.
But we eventually got to it. We got to it a little late, but we're there. It's Friday the 13th. So it's a very simple question. Do you believe in the Friday the 13th superstition? Yes or no?
I like it.
I do not. The full moon, yes. Friday the 13th, not so much.
So you're a no?
I'm a no.
I'm a yes. I do believe it. I believe some funky stuff happens today. Also, what do we get? 3 a year? I think don't we get 3 Friday the 13th in a year?
And I go by 2 different workforce people here. My wife's a veterinarian. She's never said a word about Friday the 13th. It's never affected her workplace. School teachers say the same thing. Friday the 13th does nothing to affect kids. There's not a behavioral issue with Friday the 13th. However, when there's a full moon, Ask a vet and a teacher how the kids and the dogs are acting that day.
Well, I will say, ask the cops too. The cops are well aware. They're like, just so you know, the weekend we're going to have a full moon. Just be ready. Okay.
So there's no full moon right now. There's nothing we can blame these picks on other than Friday the 13th, David.
Hey, enough already. You have 4 winning weeks out of the last 5. I have had 4 straight weeks where I'm either winning weeks 3 times, and I went 4-4 last week, only because I gave the best betting advice possible and then went the other way.
All right. You want to start us off this week, or you want me to?
No. You went 4-1 last week. Did you go first or second last week?
I went second.
Then I'm going first. Okay, here's the deal. The Noles are going to roll Syracuse. All right, Lee Sterling and I are actually on the same page on this one. To me, when I saw the line wasn't 20, I was like, oh, I'm taking Florida State. So Florida State going to score in the 40s and cover the 17.5 against Syracuse. All right, Mark. Which bounce back team am I going with? Missouri at Kentucky. Missouri led most of the way against LSU, got beat late. Kentucky, oofta, as Vern Lundquist would say, in Athens last week. I'm going with Kentucky. At home, laying 2.5 against Missouri. I think they're the more complete team. They got embarrassed. I think Missouri just came down to earth a little bit. Defensively, they're not very good. I think Kentucky takes advantage. Okay. You know I'm big on Jed Fish, the Arizona coach, and you know I'm been saying for months that Arizona's, even though they're the 7th best team in the Pac-12, they're pretty salty. Nobody wants to play them. Here's the problem, Mark, for Arizona. They have played Washington and USC back-to-back. That's tough. Now they got to go to Washington State, and Washington State's coming off their worst performance of the year, 5 turnovers. They're angry with themselves. So I think Arizona's on fumes. They lost in double overtime to USC last week, and they played Washington to the end as well. Give me Washington State lay the 7.5 against Arizona. I just think Arizona's tank's half empty this week. Okay. South Carolina and the Gators. You know, Florida, I gave you a mulligan against Utah. I came to your defense. Tough situation, 4 new offensive linemen on the road, tough place to play. Every mistake you made is correctable. Okay, and I thought you were going to go to Kentucky. I picked you to beat Tennessee. I picked you to beat Kentucky. You humiliated me. Okay? And I'm still angry about it. I'm like Steve Smith talking about Jerry Jeudy. You know who you guys are just to me? You're a jag. Just a guy. Just a guy. When I look at your season so far, basically, if I take the first half against Tennessee away, what kind of a team are you? Honestly, not that good. It's a toss-up game. I saw South Carolina beat Georgia for a half. You guys think you can beat Georgia for a half? And I like South Carolina's quarterback better, even though Mertz has played really. If the rest of the team played as well as Mertz, they'd be a lot better. Give me South Carolina laying the 2 at home against the Gators. Okay, this makes no sense, but the Dolphins are going to be without 3 offensive linemen, and they're going to be without Achane. And they're playing the Eagles the next week. This game has got look ahead written all over it. All over it. How in the world can they take the 0-5 Carolina Panthers seriously, right? Dolphins nearly didn't cover last week against the Giants, and the Giants and the Panthers are going to fight it out for worst team in the league. Patriots are like, hey, don't forget about us. I like the 13.5 with Carolina. Dolphins are going to win, don't get me wrong. But I could see 31-21. Backdoor cover for Carolina. The Ravens are going to take it out on the Titans in London, and they've already been there for 3 days. All right. They're going to hate the food and the accommodations. They're going to be so angry. They are going to take it out on the Titans. And then the Titans are going to start trading people. Give me Baltimore, lay the 4. And Mark, do you know how many times in the last 2+ years the Cowboys have lost back-to-back games? Once. They didn't all last year. When they lost 5 times outside of the playoffs, they won the very next week. Go back the year before when they lost 5 times. You know how many times they lost the next week? Only once. Cowboys are 9-1 in the last 2+ seasons when they lose the next week. It's the virtual pick 'em. Cowboys laying 2. And they're a road favorite. Give me the Cowboys.
So is that a Super 7 that I see?
You're damn right it is, Mark.
I'm just making sure. You said you had 8. I thought maybe I missed a pick.
No, I had one, but I left it on the sideline.
All right. I have a little bit of a theme, particularly to my college picks this week, David. These are all schools and games I would play during basketball season, but yet I'm playing all of these games during football season. Oklahoma State had a nice win last week. They did. They beat Kansas State, but they're not a very good football team, and I don't think they've found themselves. Give me Kansas laying the 2.5 against Oklahoma State. You know, the Jayhawks, a basketball school. Duke is playing really good football. They've got NC State, who struggles to score. Give me the Dukies and lay the 3 against NC State.
That was the game I had written down. But Duke's probably going to play their backup quarterback, and NC State went to a new quarterback last week and scored 48 points. I got scared off. These two teams haven't played in Durham in 10 years, by the way.
And I'm also taking Kentucky. I just think their running game will be able to control the pace of the game, and Missouri won't be able to score enough. They want a little bit more free-flowing game. Kentucky will play the game that they wanted to play against Georgia, but were just unable to because they got down and never were able to recover. The Jags own the Colts at home. Own them. They will get them again. I don't see the hangover. I'm taking Leon head-to-head in this one. Give me the Jags -4 against the Colts. And I know Detroit has some injuries, but I think they're a far superior team than Tampa Bay. I'm taking the road favorite Lions to humble the Bucs in a game that I disagree with, Lee. I actually have a funny feeling they're going to score a little bit. You're going to see a big Jared Goff game with the weak secondary of the Bucs. I like Detroit -3 against Tampa Bay.
So Mark taking 5 favorites, an absolute shocker.
Not one of them's more than 4 points.
Well, that's okay. I made 7 picks and took 6 favorites. So, I mean, just
you're
saying.
laying big numbers on a couple of them.
I am. But
although I really like the Washington State game. I looked at that too. The way Arizona's played the last couple of weeks. Can they continue it after losing? It's tough. It's really tough to think that they're going to be able to go on the road and continue to play hard.
So, and if Washington State had won last week against UCLA, I probably would stay away from this game. But they're spitting mad and what have you. So there you go. An interesting college weekend, by the way. Not only Florida, South Carolina, Miami, North Carolina. But, Mark, is the Big Ten West going to be decided Saturday? Iowa at Wisconsin?
I think so.
So, I mean, a spot in the Big Ten title game up for grabs, potentially. Likely.
The final time we'll have something like this decided early, because it won't be ever, without the divisions, this won't happen like this ever again.
Obviously, USC, Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored. That's interesting. What has Notre Dame done to deserve to be favored in this game?
I know USC's defense is awful, but has Notre Dame shown that they have an off? I mean, I love their quarterback, but they're not scoring points.
No, they are not. Their last 3 games, they're not scoring points. They're 1-2 in their last 3, and they were fortunate to get the 1 at Duke. I mean, they converted a 4th and 16 on the game-winning drive. Then again, they should have beat Ohio State, but so they're probably got what they deserve. They're 1-2, the wrong games, but they got what they deserved. And that's Duke's only loss. They don't think, though, that starter is going to be back for this week for Duke. That's my only concern for you in that game. The backup, I think, threw like 8 passes earlier this year. So, but he's had a week of practice. So I was almost with you. It's probably better for you. The few times we've been on the same page this year, we're not doing well.
Yeah, this was a tough week looking through games. I did not have the epiphany you had where I could just write down 8 off the bat. I was struggling to find games.
Yeah, I could have done 17 picks this week. That's not an exaggeration. I could have done 17 picks because I could also have taken the 6 road favorites in the NFL. I might have done the exact opposite of last week when I took almost all the home dogs. I would have come back this week and just taken the 6 road favorites.
That is one of the more amazing stats out there. We've been talking about this for a while on this show, that home field, ice, court doesn't mean anything anymore. It just doesn't.
Well, and what is it? With the Chiefs winning last night, home teams are still -3, I believe, in the NFL. We have 3 more road wins than we have home wins so far this season in the NFL.
A lot of haves, but a lot of have-nots in the NFL this year. And we get some of that this week as Miami takes on Carolina. And even though, as you pointed out, how banged up the Dolphins are, it's still Carolina.
And they are really bad. They are. But what if? I mean, the Dolphins are missing 3 starters on the offensive line. Achan's not going to play. And yes, the Dolphins' defensive front should take advantage of a bad Carolina offensive line. How many times this year has the Dolphins' defensive front taken advantage of matchups? The final drive against the Chargers. Let's face it, that's a unit that has not performed up to expectations. They thought, do you remember what the Dolphins were saying about themselves in August? We're going to be a top 10 defense. We're going to be a top 8 defense. Yeah, they're a little different without Jalen Ramsey, but this different? The interior of that defensive line has been bad. You can run on the Dolphins. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Good news is Carolina can't run it.
No, they can't block.
At all. They can't block anyone, so they shouldn't be able to run. That means Bryce Young's going to be throwing the ball, and eventually he's going to make a mistake and throw a pick or 2. That's what he does. He's a young quarterback. No, that's just a young quarterback. He did it against Detroit. Come on.
And he does hold on to the ball a little longer than he should right now. Yep. And I know Mike McDaniel was just throwing bouquets about Bryce Young, but I think Bryce Young is going to be fine. He's playing on one of the 3 worst teams in the league. Tough to look good when you're playing on one of the 3 worst teams in the league, never mind as a rookie.
Well, the good news is they're going to have a high draft pick and be that's right. Chicago has that pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that 1st or 2nd overall pick that Carolina will have will go to the Bears with their 1st or 2nd or overall pick that they have.
And one of the games we'll talk to Pat Kirwan about coming up is the 1-4 Vikings at the 1-4 Bears. And how much meaning does this game really have when you get into it? You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Pat Kirwan. He's next. We'll get into all things National Football League with Pat and get his idea of what's going to happen in Week 6. That's next. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, Pat.
Good morning, fellas.
How are you?
Me, I'm fine. Just getting off my phone here. All right, great. I'm just trying to squeeze a couple things in. You guys can both have your heads down. You must be praying over there.
No,
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
David
Lots
Stipe,
of-
I was just sending our picks to get them posted.
I'm just transferring money from one account to the other on my phone. That's all.
Yeah. Fridays. Always fun. These weeks are going by fast. I don't know how
Yes,
you guys.
they are.
They are flying.
Football season flies by, and the rest of the year drags waiting for football season.
Yep. And the XFL, USFL just didn't fill the blank.
Well, they never will to me.
Me either.
Do the Blades open this weekend?
No, they're playing preseason, I believe.
Yeah. The regular season's November 1st. Is at home anyway.
Okay. Good for them to get it delayed that long.
Yep.
Are you going to make the opener?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm
We gotta
coming down
figure
the
out-
20, whatever that Monday is, the 29th or 30th.
We got to
Sunday
figure
night.
out a way to get you your tickets.
I'll pick them up, and then I'll just get them to them if you want me to, if that's the easiest.
I'll be down in 2 weeks. I got my cancer scans in about 12 days, 12, 13 days. But yeah, it'd probably be easier next week for you to pick them up.
Let me think out loud here. They're going to be in that office where I picked up the tickets once before.
Well, the home opener is October 28th.
That's a Saturday.
I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, so I won't be. No, I'm coming down that Sunday night because they have 3 games that next week.
Yeah, so you'll miss the home opener. So maybe is somebody going to be around to use those tickets for you, or should we give them to somebody?
I haven't thought about. My brother's down there. He'll just go to all the games with me. You can give somebody those tickets.
All right, we
And
may
then
give
right
those.
after that.
I may
let me
take.
just-
Yeah, if either Mark will take them. If Mark doesn't want them, we'll give them to Casio.
Yep. Yeah, I got all my dates that I know I'm gonna be there for a lot of games this year.
That's a shock.
Yeah, right.
That's a shock. Considering you'd miss the Super Bowl for a Blades Orlando Solar Bears game.
Well, you're pushing the Solo Bears part. That's a little hard. I say, they play each other so many times. By March, they're killing each other. It's
So
just
if it was the
freaking
Blades
fight.
and the Idaho Statesman or whoever the hell it is.
Oh, I absolutely would be at that game. I know the coach. The Iowa Barnstormers coach worked with Brady for a whole winter. I love that guy. I actually sent some coach ideas to him. He's always asking me about stuff like that. So, and another guy named Jake Bolton. Jake is playing in England right now, but when he comes back, I think Derek Damon's going to hire him out there.
Okay.
When I
Look
meet
at
guys that
you.
have been a
Look
lot
at
of
you becoming a puckhead.
well,
No, he's not even a puckhead. He's a minor league puckhead.
Right.
yeah.
I can't get him to go to a Lightning game or a Panther
No,
game or a New
not
York Ranger
interested.
game. Why see good hockey when I can watch AA hockey?
I like to see guys making no money. That's the world I come from.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour along the network on this Friday the 13th, which is the focus of our poll question. Do you believe in the Friday the 13th superstition, yay or nay? Go to that, Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Florida Sports Network, or floridasportsnetwork.com and vote. But it is also a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And it's time for Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, 3 to 7 weekdays, 2 to 5 on Saturdays. And CBS's NFL Today show, they've got the Super Bowl this year. So Pat will be in Vegas, baby. And he joins us right now, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. How you doing?
I'm doing well and looking forward to these games. I was just saying before, these weeks are flying by. I mean, we're so programmed to every day. We got everything accountable for each minute of the day. You guys Tuesdays and Fridays, and I look up and the next thing it's mid-October already, and I feel like I can't slow this pace down. So pretty exciting.
Well, Pat, last week when we had you on, I think before you came on the air, when we were talking prior to that, you said, man, there's like 2 games that I just have no clue. I've got a good read on all of them, but a couple. I look at this week, I'm the same way. I've got a good read on all of them. How many games have you up in arms this week?
Well, we have 3 games. Well, one of them was last night that were double-digit point spreads. And so those games usually don't turn out to be good. As bad as last night was, they still covered, I think. It was a 10.5. They covered by a half a point. So I look at those games. So I always throw out the losers in those games. But games that I think are really hard to pick, Washington, Atlanta. That game to me is a tough game to really think about. Minnesota and Chicago. Now, I will say this. We have 8 teams that are in the running for the top pick in the draft, right? There's 2 Chicagos and 6 other teams. Right away, I keep my eye on those guys. There's more teams in the race for the top pick now than usual. Other games I really think would be hard to figure out at this point. Houston and New Orleans. That game, if the young kid keeps rolling along, that game could be hard. Some of these other ones, not so much. Detroit and Tampa Bay, I'll leave it at that. Those Detroit Tampa Bay is a tough game. I think people are underestimating Tampa Bay's defense.
Can we go back to Minnesota, Chicago for a second? I think the ramifications from this game are significant. Maybe it's just me wishing, because you know how I want to see a wild trade deadline. But if I'm the Vikings and I lose at Chicago, and I know I'm not bringing Jefferson on the trip, but still, if I lose to the Bears, coming off a 13-4 season, aren't I inclined to make some changes? And if I'm the Bears, I know this whole year is about Justin Fields, and so he can play well and they can lose, and it could still be a productive Sunday. But for Matt Eberflus, doesn't he have to win this game? I mean, Fields needs to play well for Fields, but don't these teams need to win this game, or else the front offices think, wow, we suck?
Yeah, I hear you, and they are going to play again, but Minnesota knows they are not going to have a quarterback next year. I'm sure they're starting to get real interested in, if they lose this game, they might be privately excited they're on their way to the first pick. Chicago is definitely got to get some credibility. Minnesota, the fans are disgusted. the Bear fans are now warming up to Justin Fields again. So yeah, it has some real implications. But if you think about it, guys, Chicago, yeah, Arizona, what are they doing? The Giants, the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Vikings absolutely going to need a quarterback, and they'd love the first pick in the draft.
I want to get back to your comments about Tampa because that's the game. They moved it to 425. Tampa Bay and Detroit, 2 first-place teams. It's hard enough just to get that out of my mouth without laughing, but it's a fact right now, and Detroit looks as if they've got their division in complete control. Tampa's will be a little bit tougher because, well, there are more average teams. But you mentioned you like their defense a lot. What is it about their defense that has impressed you the most?
In the red zone. Go look. They've held people to 3 touchdowns in there and 11 trips. So the 11 trips aren't very many trips for starters. And they've done this while missing cornerbacks. You know, they've had a couple of injuries in the same position area corners. I talk to Coach Bowles every week, and he kind of makes things happen with whoever he has. He doesn't complain about injuries as much as some others. So I like that part of it. And the other part of the team that I think really helps the defense is Baker Mayfield. He's the best third down quarterback in the league right now, which I don't think I would ever say, but he's very productive. So he keeps them on the field, and his defense is pretty fresh when they go out there. So Todd Bowles loves his defensive players, and he has a very good scheme for them, and they're effective. But I brought him up because people don't talk about it. I don't ever get calls about the Tampa Bay defense. So when I bring them up, people either go back and do the research and start going, wow, they are pretty good. So I like Todd a lot because I just think Todd is an underrated coach. He got run out of New York. To this day, if he had just stayed there, they'd be a pretty good football team up in New York.
Well, it's funny. He had good quarterback play once in his 4 years there, and they won 10 games that year. It's funny how that works. You get good quarterback play, all of a sudden the guy can coach. You get bad quarterback play, all of a sudden the guy's a bum. It's funny, Pat, how that works.
Ask Sean Payton. If he wakes up this morning, ask him. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. You know what I'm tired of? Mark, this is right up your alley. I'm tired of quarterbacks the day after games. It's very popular now to come in and say, hey, it's my fault. And then they collect their paycheck and then they go do it again. Oh, that's my fault. Too many of them are taking the tack of, oh, yeah, I played bad. It's all on me. I've heard that from way too many of these guys.
What do you want him to say? I mean, would you want him to get up there and say our offensive line completely stunk up the joint today and I had no time back there?
What do I want him to say? Yeah, here's what I think they should say. Here's half your money back. I'm really bad.
And then Russ would have to say, and by the way, my contract extension, I believe, is just kicked in.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, Mark. There's nothing they can say, but I think say nothing. That's my opinion. Just we're getting back to work. We got to fix things. You know, the standard old boring answers. How about the head coach forgetting what down it was last night? Those night games, sometimes you're a little sleepy.
You mentioned some teams. Do you see paths for them to be a good team before this year is out, if you know what I mean? Whether it's the Giants, the Patriots, the Vikings. You know, the Raiders, I thought, Pat, saved their season Monday night, and now you look at their schedule, and to think that they're winning games with their defense, something they haven't done in 25 years, that there's actually a path for the Raiders to be a competitive team, or are all these one-win teams basically just playing for the draft?
Well, they're not playing for the draft. Some of them coaches are playing for their jobs. That's the first part. But I think there's a pretty thick race for the top pick. And if you think the USC quarterback's the answer to your problems, well, then you're okay to be in the race. And we know Denver is going to want to get a quarterback sooner or later. New England needs one yesterday, and Minnesota's definitely going to need one. So we'll see where they roll out and keep going. But at the end of the day, I think the 2 and 3 teams, if you go look at all the 2 and 3 type teams, you really see that most of them can stay in the race. Like Cleveland's a good example. Cleveland at 2 and 2, they're not going to have Deshaun Watson most likely. They lose. Go look. What's that do to them? Nothing. They're losing to a non-conference team, San Francisco, And the rest of the Pittsburgh's not going to hold on to the lead division, so they should be able to stay in this race. So a lot of the 2 and 3s, which I think Cleveland will be by Sunday night, are going to stay in their race. The difference is, I guess, to you, David, the difference between a 2 and 3 team and a 1 and 4 team is huge to me.
I agree with that. And some of those 2 and 3 teams have games this week that they could easily get themselves to 3 and 3. But if they lose, you start thinking, oh boy.
Well, and one of those games is Seattle at Cincinnati, which is a monster. And Pat, Seattle, and I don't make anything out of the power polls, but I will click every once in a while and read them and look. And I see where Seattle's, they're ranked behind Detroit. It's like, does anybody pay attention to the result of games? Because part of me thinks Pete Carroll loves sitting in the weeds like this and nobody paying any attention to his team. But this is a big one between Seattle and Cincinnati.
It is. In Cincinnati, Burrow is back and healthy, so they're a problem because of that. And when he's good, he's taking the team all the way to the big game. Seattle, hey, look, it's my friend. And every time I say anything positive, it's, well, he's your friend. But a lot of times I say negative things about him. I don't pick him all the time. The most impressive thing Seattle's done this year, among many things, is they go out last week. They don't bring their tackles with them. They lose linemen. I asked Pete the other day. He said, we played a lot of the game with one of our starting linemen, and they still found a way to win. Then he was worried about the run defense and the pass rush, and all of a sudden they get, it's the Giants, and they blow them up for 11 sacks in a game. So it's coming together pretty nicely for him. And that Witherspoon kid, opposite Tariq Wilson, and now they play with Spoon, as he calls him, in the slot, and he has 2 sacks right away. He did not practice all summer. He was basically on the sideline with a hamstring. So they got a lot of young players. Gino's way better than people think. Pete knew it all along. I thought he was crazy, but he's right. But they got the 49ers in the division, Mark. So I think they're playing for the 5 seed.
Is there a lesson to be learned by other teams? And we've got about 90 seconds. Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. I mean, is it more than just Dave Canales, or do teams need to take a closer look at some veteran quarterbacks and realize, this guy's not bad. He was just in a bad situation?
Well, because of those 2 guys you mentioned, it leads me right to Carson Wentz. So the guys you mentioned had negative reputations. People thought they weren't very good or their careers were over in the case of Geno. Baker was, who wants Baker? He was on 2 teams last year. So I look at Wentz, and I've had conversations with Frank Reich about him. Frank was never going to dump that guy. So I think someone should be looking at him pretty closely as a rebound quarterback.
It is interesting. 2 years ago, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and the owner cut him.
Yeah. And so you brought up 2 guys that had rocky roads, and that's the 3rd one. And I would have him on my team. Find out. He's cheap right now. Real cheap.
And desperate. 2 things that you want out of if you're going to go that route, you're obviously going to get everything you need to find out in a hurry. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL's Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS Sports, the NFL Today Show, and he joins us twice a week, courtesy of Pinchers. Pinchers, with locations from Tampa to Key West. Pinchers, where you cannot fake fresh. We'll get into the rest of the games and more with Pat Kirwan on the other side right here. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You play this week, Mark?
I did. I'm no good right now. My game has completely left me. It's not fun.
I played yesterday really early at dawn so I could get back. I was way upstate. I just let me sneak in 18 holes, and I halfway through I said, why didn't I just fucking drive home? I was like, come on. I played a really course that doesn't exist in Florida. It was up and down mountains with water creeks at the 200-yard mark on about 8 holes. The way they set that course up, so you're sitting on the tee box, and you think, well, I'm going right over that, and then all of a sudden, you're in 2 of the creeks. Now you're hitting layup shots off the tee box, just to not lose another golf ball and lose you lose
Sounds
your mind.
gorgeous, by the way.
It's right in the Catskill Mountains. It's
Colors
beautiful.
starting to change at all?
Yeah, they're all up there. Not down in Jersey. It's all green, but up there, it's all yellow, orange.
Oh, that'd
beautiful.
be beautiful.
Yep.
Man, do I miss the fall.
Yeah. You can do your show from my house if you want to fly up. I can go out as your guest from the other room. Yeah, and the air was about 58 when we started, and it warmed up to about 70, 71.
Oh,
it was like air conditioned golf. Well, there's some games that it's just you don't even have to talk about them because you know that the team that they're playing has no chance. Carolina and Miami, you don't have to talk about that game. Well, you can if you want to. It's about covering the points. Philly and the Jets.
I mean,
Buffalo and the Giants.
I actually took the points because I'm concerned. Worst off, look ahead for the Dolphins and play the Eagles the next week, but they're going to be without 3 offensive linemen and Achan, and I don't know. Defensively, the Dolphins are not that good. I think there's a chance Carolina can cover.
Yeah, you're right about the defense. I had Sealer on yesterday. He's a lunch pail guy, but they have so much speed.
I know.
It might be just 3 big plays. I keep saying, and in my mind, I believe that we're going to see Tyreek Hill in the backfield. And I had a GM call me the other day because he heard me say it on the air, and he called and he goes, just remember that guy played some quarterback. I said, I didn't say quarterback, but I'll get 4 wide, 3 wides and a tight end, spread him out, put him in the backfield, run 4 verticals, and now release him against the Mike backer. So I think you could see a couple of crazy plays with Tyreek Hill. And he doesn't need linemen. He's gone before they block anyway.
It is so funny what formations can do to a defense. Like Josh McDaniels figured something out mid 4th quarter. He went with a formation where he had Preston Smith lined up twice against, Devontae there. I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah. These
I
coaches
saw that Houston play.
Yeah, and the coaches that are I'll use the word stubborn. It's not stubborn. It's their philosophy that they don't move corners around. One's the left, one's the right. Pete does it. I just think you can't do it anymore. You're going to have to match up these guys.
Yes.
Because if you don't, I know how to get my best receiver on your worst corner every
Totally.
time.
That doesn't make any sense to me, Pat.
Nope.
I mean, it's not like playing left guard versus right guard where your footwork's different, is it? Is it that different to play one side or the other?
No.
But Pat, there are some corners that do not like to switch sides. Dion didn't like to switch side. Revis didn't want to switch side.
I know. That's why you trade them. Move on. You have to train these guys to do it because it's too easy to figure out. Sorry, I meant it though.
I know the two of the five best corners of all time. Come on now.
Where's Jalen Ramsey? He got traded. Darrell Revis. He got traded. Who was the other guy?
That would be Dion.
The mercenary. How many teams did he play for?
104.
Yeah. You have to be able to handle the best receiver. And these teams that they're going to throw to the best receiver 15 times.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. 3 to 7 weekdays, 2 to 5 on Saturdays, and CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. All right. Can the Jets compete with the Eagles with that defense, a star wide receiver and a star tailback, or is Zach Wilson just such a X factor in a negative way that they have no shot?
I don't believe they have a shot. I was surprised at how small the point spread was, honestly. I thought this would be a double-digit one, but it's not. And so maybe they see something I don't see. But Jalen Hurts loves to be on the road. Jalen Hurts was 22-1. Jalen Hurts can take over a game. They're not, to me, they're not in the same class right now as the 49ers, but they're a hair below them. You had posed that to me the other day. What about the Eagles when I said that the 49ers were ahead of everyone? I think they'll be okay with this game. It might be tough early, but ultimately Wilson's going to have to do more than Wilson can usually do. And I would think this is an easy win for Philly.
When you look at the Washington-Atlanta game, I know you said that one gives you trouble. This is we're already talking about a lot of teams in the NFC that are 2-3, 3-2. Atlanta's trying to keep pace in the division, but are they any good?
No, they have a very good coach. I talk to both of these coaches every week, and I get a good feel for their temperature. I think Atlanta is feeling pretty good about themselves right now. They know what they are, and most importantly, they know what they're not. They went out and bought a defense, and all of a sudden, they're pretty solid on defense where they weren't before. But the coach has got a young quarterback, and he's got running backs. And finally, they started getting the ball to the tight end last week.
Hey!
Yeah. And now you create a dilemma. You got a running back like Bijan in the backfield, and then you've got linebackers worried about him. He's on pace for 1,700 yards of offense this year. And now you got this first-round draft pick tight end who's been silent till last week. And I think they have a combination of things that can be problematic. Now, picking this game is hard. Washington, we tend to only talk about two things with them. Oh, what a great front four. And they can't block to save the quarterback. 29 sacks already. And I give the quarterback a lot of credit for being tough. He's like Billy Kilmer to me. He's just one of those tough guys that can hang in there. His helmet's half sideways on his head from getting hit so many times, but he still finds ways to play hard. He threw for 380 yards last week and sacked 5 times. I'm taking Atlanta in this game, not because the quarterback Ritter is undefeated at home. We all know that. I'm taking them because I think they have finally created a classic conflict with the run game and the tight end. Oh, and were they happy to talk about trading? This is right up David's alley, trading for Jefferson and putting that kid into the mix on the receiver corps.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Okay, you go out and you get a player and you plug them in as opposed to a potential pick. But anyway, We don't normally talk the Monday night game with you, but these teams are interesting, and we all know why. So the Cowboys and the Chargers.
Yeah.
Did what the Niners did to the Cowboys make us now have to look at them differently as like, yeah, you guys just aren't legit?
Well, I don't think they're in the top 6 teams in the NFL. I could find 6 I like more than Dallas, but Dallas is right there at the end of that. So, and the Chargers, they just can't play defense. Dan Quinn will get the defense back up and running. They will not look like that. So I like Dallas in this game only because of the Charger defense. I love, obviously, the Charger quarterback and his receiver group, but we've always loved them. I just think that Dallas, pretty good off a loss, right? I'm sure you've checked that out, 7 in a row, I think. So they have some level of pride. What they aren't is ever going to meet the expectations of their fans. They think they're an elite football team with a bad coach and a crazy owner. That's their MO every time you talk to a Dallas fan. Oh, we have great players. No, you have players in Dallas uniforms that remind you of the 70s. No, you have average guys at some spots. But I don't trust them to be great. I trust them to be very good, though.
Are the Rams going to be this year's surprise team? Because no one gave them. I mean, there are people talking about them picking first overall. There were people talking about them trading everybody away. They're sitting at 2-3. They're at home for Arizona. Are they a dangerous team to make the playoffs, Pat?
Yes. And in a discussion a couple of times I had it this week, take the teams with a losing record and tell me who's going to have a winning record by the end. And the teams that most popular choices were the Bengals, which is easy, and the Rams. And I see the Rams loud and clear as being a problem team. I would not want to play them in December with the playoffs on the line. And because I could see them ruining a party. Yep. I like the Rams to be that. Do I like them to make the playoffs and do something? No, I don't see that. But I do think they've got receivers and they play hard, and the coach he's clever. He's doing a nice job with not a lot of material.
Do you see them as having a future, though? And you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, Seattle last year on the come, Philly the year before that on the come, because their 3 best players are all in their 30s making an obscene amount of money, the quarterback, Donald, and Kupp. So do you see them as having a future?
No, I see them as playing hard, and I think at least 2 of the 3 guys you mentioned might finish their careers on other teams. So sooner or later, they're going to have to tear it down because it's old and it's got a medical history to it with the quarterback. So, yeah, I don't see them like I see Houston as a team with a future because they've got a young quarterback who's now starting to develop in a way that you can see he's legitimate. And so I see that kind of team as, to answer your question, who, by the way, was the 3rd team that got a bunch of votes from people about, hey, I see a team with a losing record that could land up with a winning record.
On that note, Jacksonville is not in a must-win, but nearly. When you have a team like Indianapolis, a division team, and you're supposed to take control, this is a game Jacksonville's got to go out and win.
If they are who we thought they were, yes, I agree with you. But do you trust them? They're kind of like, to me, they don't play up to what their talent level is. The quarterback has not delivered what I'd call elite performances. He has a couple, but sometimes it kind of disappears. I'll tell you, Minshew's the best backup quarterback in the league. Now, he's going to be the starter. Life changes when you're all of a sudden the starter for a few weeks.
Here's why I feel good about Jacksonville this week, and not just because I'm high on them. The Jags wide receivers lead the league in drops. Trevor's played much better than his numbers, in my opinion.
Yep.
And their defense the last 2 weeks has won games. This team won games last year because of Trevor and the offense. They're getting through this rough patch because of their defense. That now when the offense stops dropping the ball, this could be a very good team overnight.
No, I agree. I agree with you. And I still think they'll win the division. But it was just a week ago when everyone in the division was 2-2, and we were wondering about Jacksonville. 2 games in London, I never thought that would be the way they'd fix things, but it did. So they come back home. They're playing against a backup quarterback. They ought to ride.
Got an upset pick this week?
Upset picks. Oh, man. I would have forget Cleveland, those guys. Man,
Seattle at Cincy.
Tampa.
Yes, I'm taking Seattle in the game, and although I fear that Cincy's back on a roll, but I am taking Seattle in the game. I would not take Tennessee. Some people might think that's a good idea. I wouldn't do that. Washington, but those 2-point margins, those aren't even fun to talk about.
All right, and 10 seconds. Lions or Bucks?
Man, this is the game I told you earlier. I'm taking the Lions. They're roaring like crazy right now, but I love Tampa, and I would not be surprised if I'm wrong on this one. But it's hard to go against Goff, who I think is at least the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFC.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today Show. Thanks for listening.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
ECU was hanging in that game last night, too. And ended up getting blown out by SMU in the fourth quarter. That was a 4-point game midway through the third. And they looked good last night. Those unis were slick.
The purple?
No, black with the purple trim. They were sharp.
Yeah. No. Hold on. How much time do I have?
3 minutes.
You bet.
Why is the fact that McAfee's paying people a big deal?
I don't know.
Are we just opening Pandora's box, realizing that people get paid to do interviews on radio shows?
I think they're trying to take a little shine off of him. Like, people, they thought that these guys were going on his show because he was so cool and he's that connected. Well, no.
Actually, yes. Because even with the money, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers isn't doing it for anybody else.
Well, that's true. That's true. Although my guess is for $1 million, it's an exclusive that even if he likes someone else, he can't do it.
I mean, what do people think that Brady and Belichick were going on these shows in Boston and not getting paid?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till we're out of here along the network. The Diamond District bonus hour for Southwest Florida awaits at the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our poll question today, it is a Friday the 13th. Besides being a football Friday.
Football Friday.
Do you believe in the Friday the 13th superstition? Yay or nay? I think the most Friday the 13th you can have is 3 a year. Sometimes you have like 1 or 2. But just saying. I believe in it. Mark does not.
You believe in most superstitions, though. You know.
I do.
And I like superstitions. I like the routine that, having worked in hockey for such a long time, the pregame routines, the superstitious routines of players before games as they go onto the ice before each period. I love all that stuff. I just don't buy Friday the 13th.
I love when you change your walk-up music and all of a sudden you go on a tear. Absolutely, I believe in it. Yeah, I know it makes no sense. I don't care. Yeah, wait a minute. I got up. I started sitting over here. We started scoring points. Oh, I'm going to keep sitting over here.
Have you ever thought about what you'd go with for your walk-up music?
Yes.
Would it be a Springsteen song?
It would not. No, it would be Running with the Devil.
All right.
I love the beginning of Running with the Devil. I mean, I could go Eruption, but
no. Your first answer was better. I like that.
But I would go Running with the Devil. That was the song where they had me, by the way. That was when I went, ooh, who are these guys? Van Halen? I'm in.
Still plays.
Yeah.
It still plays.
I'm with you. I had it blaring in
There's
the
a lot of
car.
and they're not a hair metal band, but there's a lot of hair metal that I used to love that it just doesn't play anymore. But Van Halen, no. That's still, I'm still cranking that volume knob all the way to the right and letting it rip. All right, let's get to some NFL games. Make a couple picks with just the games, David.
Okay.
I'm guessing we're both picking the Dolphins. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Dolphins in Carolina.
Yes, I am the only person in the world who apparently thinks Carolina can cover. I do think the Dolphins, I think this is a C-plus performance coming from the Dolphins. 3 offensive line starters out, no Achane. The Eagles in the on-deck circle, they're only human. I'm just telling you. I think this is a C-plus performance coming from the Dolphins. I hope I'm wrong, because if it's an A-minus performance, they're going to win by 30.
I have Detroit laying the number against Tampa, so I'm obviously picking them straight up. Who do you like in Detroit and Tampa Bay, David?
I like Detroit, and not just because they're a road favorite, and we know how well that's gone this year. I do think they're better, period. I am curious if the Bucs offensive line can pass block effectively in this one, because they're not going to run the ball. They're not good at running it, and Detroit's good at stopping the run. So this is going to be all about protecting Baker Mayfield. Well, Detroit got a couple guys who can rush the passer. So, Hutchinson on the right tackle marks probably the matchup of the game. For as much as we're talking about injured Bucs corners and injured Lions receivers and who's going to play and what have you, the game might come down to if Tampa's right tackle blocks Hutchinson, they're going to win.
All right, the other game involving Florida teams is Indy and Jacksonville. I obviously earlier in the show picked Jacksonville and laid the 4 points, so I love the Jags. I think you're with me on this one, David.
Well, I am. That for whatever reason they own Indianapolis. Wouldn't it be funny if this is the Colts team that goes into Jacksonville and wins? I do think they have a better chance of winning with Minshew than they would have with Anthony Richardson. I do think that helps the Colts, and I do think Minshew will be incredibly fired up to play this game in Jacksonville. I do. The Jags defensively, I know I just said this with Pat, they just won the last 2 games. And Trevor played much better against Buffalo than Pat gave him credit for. And when you consider all the drops, I mean, they've dropped 4 touchdown passes of his the last 2 weeks. He's not the problem. The receivers right now are the problem. All right. They might break out against the Colts. I like the Jags.
The early game, we had our London game, Baltimore and Tennessee. David already picked Baltimore and laid the 4, so we know who he likes straight up in that game. I'm with him. I'm taking Baltimore. I don't think they'll have any problem with Tennessee. Tennessee's just offensively challenged. We'll see if Baltimore can get their offense going. That's the one thing I'd like to see in this game, to see if Baltimore can score a few points, David.
No question. And there's talk that the Titans could be one of the teams that start unloading people if they lose this game. Talk about the tailback even on the market. Just saying.
What would he be worth?
Boy, for how
First
much?
You got to be able to absorb the contract.
Right. It's about $13 million a year. Most teams don't have that kind of money, so the contract would probably have to be reworked, and Tennessee would have to assume probably a decent amount of it. Well, you tell me, the team that you think, they had Derrick Henry, and now we're, much like when the Niners added McCaffrey, we went, oh, snap. Okay, you tell me, for as devalued as that position is, you give me the team in which all of a sudden Derrick Henry shows up and you go, ooh, damn.
I don't think they do it. But Cincinnati needs another running back. I don't think they're the team, but I think they need another back with Mixon.
How about the team they're playing Sunday? All the injuries that they have at that position. Henry already beat him in a playoff game 4 years ago. What about the team they're playing Sunday?
Seattle?
No, Tennessee's playing Baltimore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were. I mentioned since I.
Oh, my bad.
I'm like, Kenneth Walker. What are you talking? You threw me off.
Just throwing that out there.
The other one's the Rams. I know you're not buying the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying they've got two receivers at a running back to that team offensively. They'd be very interesting.
Okay.
I still don't think that they're a deep run team, but if they're trying to make the playoffs. All right, Atlanta and Washington. We just talked about this game with Pat. Atlanta finally found their tight end. I like Atlanta in this game. I think it's a rock fight, but I think Atlanta prevails at home.
Here's what I'm curious about. Howell's holding on to the ball too long, but the Falcons aren't getting to the quarterback. Howell and the Washington are turning it over, but the Falcons don't create turnovers. Something's got to give here. Either Howell's able to get away with holding the ball long, and he's going to make the Falcons pay, or this is the game where the Falcons defense actually forces some turnovers, gets some sacks, etc. Listen, until Ritter loses at home, I'm going to take the Falcons, and I do think it was significant, Mark, how they won last week. They won with their offense coming from behind, scoring twice. That's the first time they've done that with him at quarterback.
I think we're both taking San Francisco over Cleveland. That's a pretty easy one. Houston is hosting New Orleans. Who do you like in that one, David?
I like Houston. I can't trust which Saints team is going to show up. Meanwhile, Houston has shown up for every game this year. And the New Orleans quarterback turns the ball over more than the Houston quarterback. Who'd have thunk that? Because the one guy's playing 10 years in the league and the other guy's making his sixth start. I will go back to, we're talking about teams and we're wondering whether or not they're going to show up. We think the Niners are going to show up with a B+ or better performance. All right.
I don't think it matters.
Okay, well, but I'm just saying, it's a 10 a.m. local body clock kick because it's a 1 o'clock Sunday kick for the Niners. They're playing the backup quarterback with Cleveland. They just got incredibly fired up. Slogans, T-shirts, everything for the Cowboys game. Are we sure the Niners show up this week and even play a B game? Because they've yet to have even a performance that you'd grade as B+.
Hey, I've already taken San Francisco in my Survivor League, so I hope that you're right. They throw a D performance out there and get upset. I just think a C performance or better, they still win the game.
Also, here's what I want to see from Cleveland early. Dallas, I thought, made a huge mistake putting Micah Parsons on Trent Williams. Okay, move Myles Garrett around. Move him off of Trent Williams. Put him elsewhere. Okay.
You picked Houston. I wrote down all the games. It's the only game I had no idea on. And David, just because I'm going to be a contrarian, you took Houston. I'm taking New Orleans. Why am I taking New Orleans? Because you took Houston.
And because they're the road favorite. That's a smart play.
I've got Cincinnati over Seattle. Joe Burrow figured it out last week. This should be a really good game. I'm excited to watch it, but I'm going to take Seattle in a close one, or take Cincinnati in a close one over Seattle.
I am going to take Seattle. They're versatile, and they're coming off a bye week, and they travel really well.
The Bears suck. At the end of the day, I don't care. I'm taking Minnesota. I'm taking Kirk Cousins. I don't care if there's no Jefferson. It doesn't make a difference to me. Minnesota will beat the Chicago Bears on Sunday.
Mark, I don't disagree with you that the Bears suck, but without Jefferson, I think you're going to be able to play a little defense against the Vikings. It's just, and I know you're picking the road favorite. That's a smart play. It is. Mark, Justin Fields has played 2 good games in a row. Also, the Vikings are going to blitz the blank out of him. He might run for 100 yards, escaping the blitz and have wide open space with which to run. It wouldn't shock me if Fields has like a 40-yard touchdown run in this game against a Brian Flores all-out blitz. I'm going to take the Bears.
I'm taking Vegas over New England because New England's broken right now. And someone finally, a coach in the tree finally gets a win against Belichick, if you know what I mean. I'll take the fighting McDaniels over the struggling Belichicks.
I might have taken the Patriots if they were healthy defensively, but no Judon to rush the passer. Also, their best corner is hurt. I actually think that maybe this is the breakout game for Devontae. They got the ball to him late against the Packers. Maybe they pick up where they left off. I like the Raiders.
Arizona's at the Rams. Give me the Rams in this one. They're going to win a couple in a row here and make people talk about them in a few weeks.
Ditto.
Give the Jets any shot against Philadelphia?
Yes. I don't think the Eagles show up with an A performance either. I think they're looking ahead to the Dolphins. I think it's tough to take Zach Wilson seriously. And the Eagles have had very few A performances this year. However, the Eagles' defensive line should be able to do to the Jets what they did to Tampa Bay, although they've got a couple of injuries. I actually think the Jets hang close in this game, Mark, till late. Hurts eventually beats them.
The two lines make it almost impossible for Philadelphia to give much less than a B performance. You're right. They've not given a lot of A performances, David, but their personnel makes it difficult for them to give much less than a B. Now, New York might be able to run the ball a little bit because they've got a great running back, but I still think at the end of the day, the Eagles cover this game and win easily. We both got Buffalo over the Giants. The Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. It's not even worth talking about.
Who's worse, Giants or Patriots right now? I'm taking Carolina out. They're 0-5. Of the one-win teams, Giants or Patriots, who's worse?
Wow, it's a great question.
There you go.
Right now, the Giants.
Wow. Think about that. Think about what you just said.
And Dallas doesn't lose 2 in a row. We'll talk more about it on Monday, but we both got the Cowboys on Monday night. So there's a rundown of the NFL games this week. Our picks will be up, if they're not up already, at floridasportsnetwork.com. We're dating 3-0-1 in his last 4 weeks.
If you are in an elimination pool and you get eliminated this week, first off, how many people took Kansas City last night as a 10.5, 11-point favorite? You got the Niners at right around 10, and you got the Dolphins at 13.5. I mean, honestly, unless you can't pick those teams because you've already picked them.
Bingo. I'll take the Bills.
There you go. But somebody may have already taken them, but, you know.
I'm taking the first 3 you talked about. That's why I'm taking the Bills this week in mine.
Nice. Nice. You know, the Rams might be a sneaky play this week in elimination pool. You willing to risk it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I'll take Buffalo over the Giants right now, but I like where your head is with the Rams because they're going to win that game.
Eagles? No?
Not on the road. I don't like taking my rules in elimination. If I can stick to these rules, I don't like to take road teams, and I don't like to play division games. Okay. Crazy things happen in division games.
They do. They do. Fair
Along
enough.
the network, we thank you so much for listening. We'll do it all over again Monday morning at 6 a.m. For the 239, the Diamond District bonus hour is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Seriously? No one.
$20 I've never heard of it.
Well,
He doesn't, Adam. Minshew's a backup.
also, I thought they signed him to a 2-year deal. Could be wrong.
I don't know why, but the Gaffigan Walmart commercial, every time he's in the car with the family chanting Vegas, I laugh. Every time. I'm watching it without the volume on, and I'll smile at the end of it, mainly because the microphone cord is still hanging out of the car. Won't ever get me to buy that phone or shop at Walmart, but the commercial's funny. To me.
That text that you just forwarded me is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's just
never know who's in here.
I wasn't going to say anything specific. But I mean, that's probably something that would take 2 weeks if you had a good relationship with someone who'd
Probably
be willing.
2 months.
Man, good luck with that one. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
And Sheikh Zula, huh? It's kind of nice.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour, our final hour of the week on this Friday the 13th. And it's a football Friday.
Football Friday.
And it has to be a football Friday because, hell, there's only four baseball teams left.
And not the ones most people wanted.
Certainly not who Fox and Turner, for that matter. Turner's got the National League, right? I'm sure they're Philadelphia, Arizona. Oh, that's fantastic.
At least Philly carries some weight, though. It's a big enough market. It'll get you numbers. Philly's, they're a very likable team.
They are.
I mean, even Felipe, who is a diehard Marlins fan, has found himself rooting for the Phillies, who took out his team. I mean, that is the sign of respect of an opponent, if you will, when they take out your team and you still have a soft spot for them.
I mean, how can you not love what's going on your television?
No. Everything about it, from the fans deciding we're going to act the opposite mid-season with Trey Turner. You know what? Instead of us telling you how much you suck, you know how much you suck. We'll give you a hug.
To me, that's why. This doesn't happen without that moment. That moment took a sports city of which we think as little of their fans as any city in the country. Philadelphia fans are the worst. They're mean. They're nasty. They spit at you. They throw things at you. They swear at you. They double bird in your face. They're thought of as the most obnoxious fan base on the planet. And they do it to their own, too. And when they got behind Turner, it turned into a feel-good story for that team, and it's carried on the rest of the season.
Unheard of. I don't think I've ever seen Philly fans do that.
So, and I've talked about him before. Ed Svita is Joe Buck's longtime stats guy, 22 years. He's literally, of all the broadcasts that Joe has done, baseball and football, Ed's missed one broadcast in 22 years. So Ed's from Philly, pride of Philly, loves Villanova, everything Villanova, everything Philly. And so he roots for the four teams. And when I talked to him about the whole group hug thing with this Phillies team, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. You know, he needed it. And I go, you're also an Eagles fan. I go, Donovan McNabb could have used a hug. Okay, and I started rattling off all the guys over there. Randall Cunningham. I go, do we want to go through the list here? I mean, you guys never, and you wouldn't do it today. If this Eagles team all of a sudden would lose to the Cowboys and become the second place team in the NFC East, you guys would lose your mind.
And Jalen Hurts throws 3 picks and looks bad, you'd be finding this damn replacement.
I go, you're the same fans who on Sundays are spitting fire always. I go, what changed? He's like, I don't know. Maybe it's the everyday thing with baseball. It just, I don't know. I mean, we'd already booed him for 3 weeks. What more was there to do? I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if you're dating certain men or women and you have a type. I had lunch with a buddy in Vegas on Monday. And he said, I've got 3 rules for dating women. And he laid them out for me. I go, who you dating right now? And she breaks all 3 rules. I go, you must be in love. He goes, yeah, I think I am. Okay, I swear that's what the Philly fan just did with Trey Turner and the Phillies.
I love when guys say they have a type. I've always found that to be hilarious.
It's the biggest lie.
And especially as someone who's short. I'm 5'8". Felipe, you're in my height range. So you know, and you have a girlfriend and you're very happy and you guys are in love or whatever. But Felipe, can I ask you, was she your type or did she like you?
Okay, you're going to hate this answer, but I was also the person that always told myself I don't have a type. So she was kind of my type because obviously we're still dating, you know.
But when you pursued her, she had to like you, no matter what your type is. Unless that person's attracted to you, you as a guy have no shot. It's their choice.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not yours.
It's harder for us.
Very few men can say I have a type and then stick to it.
Right. You need to be Ryan Gosling to say that and mean it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Mark, I went to the most Philadelphia sports fan I know. He's got no answer for it either. And he did acknowledge, you're right, we'd spit at the Eagle who was performing the way Trey Turner was. I go, you darn right you would have.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
I've said this time and time again on the show. I love Phillies fans, but I hate Eagles fans, but they're the same people.
They're the same fan.
Absolutely the same fan. They almost park in the same damn parking spot.
Yes.
But anyway, honestly, you think about Mike Schmidt must be watching this Trey Turner thing going, well, this is something. Let me tell you, this is something. Seriously? You know, I mean, there's quite a few. Eric Lindros must be somewhere going, really? Really? He hadn't done squat for you. He was playing for you for 3 months. I took you to the finals twice. What the hell?
Ben Simmons never got a hug.
Oh man.
And that guy could have used a hug.
He was eviscerated.
Could have used a hug. Just saying. So that's all
because he wouldn't shoot a layup.
Which, you know, kind of important in Game 7.
It is. And so is hitting the baseball. And Trey Turner couldn't do that. And they gave him. So it's not like there are that Trey Turner was just playing okay. He was playing horribly. So it's remarkable. And yet they are a really easy team to like and root for.
Remember, they couldn't wait at the end to get rid of Andy Reid. Guy can't win the big one. Got to get him out of here. Well, I must admit, he hadn't won the big one yet. He was like 1-4 in NFC championship games. I understand you were a little aggravated. But, yep.
A couple of things. You know, we were talking about Derrick Henry, and I have had a texter, David, for a while who has been trying to get the Bucs to trade for Derrick Henry. And we mentioned Derrick Henry. And he's like, see, I told you, Derrick Henry to the Bucs. That's who needs to trade for him.
If the Bucs had any money.
Exactly. That's the problem with the Bucs.
But see, to me, you go get Derrick Henry if you think like you're one player away from going to a completely different level.
I understand. I'm just
right. Like I was asking you yesterday, is there one player out there that takes the Lions and puts them in the San Francisco, Philadelphia area code? You know, that's the type of, if you think there's somebody out there that an AFC team, which is why I said Baltimore, you know, you got to get in Kansas City's area code. That's the team to beat. They've hosted 5 straight AFC championship games. To get yourself in Kansas City's area code, which AFC team can acquire which player in which you now go, oh, snap.
It's why Buffalo has to go out and trade for a linebacker. It is just simply the reason why, with Milano going down for the Bills, that they have got to go out and find his replacement for the rest of this year. They can't rely on bringing someone up for the practice squad and thinking that's going to work out. Because it's not. It also might get you to the playoffs. Might get you a playoff win.
I mean,
hell, you're trying to stop Travis Kelce, you're going to need Players.
They could still win the AFC East without making a trade. They
Yes.
could. They own the Dolphins. Okay. So, right now, if you're betting final game of the year, Buffalo at Miami, who you taking? You're taking Buffalo. Until the Dolphins prove they can beat the Bills. All right. Even the game they won last year, Buffalo outgained them over 2-1. It was a joke. Miami won that game. They had the ball for like 17 minutes and they won that game. Anyway, but we're talking about winning in January. They're down a corner and they're tackling machine. They got to get reinforcements. They're not going to beat the Chiefs, never mind a couple other teams, if they don't get a couple guys. I do think I may have stumbled upon something for me. If you're the Ravens, put Derrick Henry on the Ravens. Oof.
And I wish we had more time to get to this comment made in the Twitch chat room by a Braves fan who's in a bad mood. But this made him in a good mood yesterday. He said he got a haircut yesterday. The girl confirmed what I like, and there was zero conversation after that. It was wonderful and made me think of David. Man, the fact that you just want to go out in public and not talk to people, and I don't mean you, David, I mean all of you, that you can't, the poor hairdressers there that have a little conversation, little chit-chat, and you want zero of it.
First off,
go ahead.
That's ridiculous. First off, the hairdressers can talk to each other while they're cutting your hair, and oftentimes they do. You don't need to be a part of their world. They could work the whole damn day, do 12 cuts, and not talk to a single client.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like they sign up for it. They sign up for it knowing that, they're going to talk to people.
It's part of the game.
Part of the job.
It's part of doing the job right.
I am the opposite. I like talking to the person cutting my hair. Just so that, if they mess my stuff up, I don't want to, drill into them.
How are you going to be
It
able
eases
to
the blow of getting a bad haircut?
How are you going to be able to tell if they mess your stuff up? You got a lot of stuff. You got enough stuff you can cover up a mistake. Okay, Miller and Moulton get something done wrong. Well, we're older. We get the cut a little shorter. We got issues if there's a hole.
I'm just saying a good conversation can ease the blow of a bad haircut. I got a pretty haircut the last time I went, but I had a great conversation with the lady. She was a Bills fan. She loved the Bills.
And I'm all
She loved
for
Josh
the haircut
Allen.
conversation. Mr. Boutte has a great comment in the Twitch chat room. Is the dentist or the dental hygienist trying to talk to you? My dental hygienist always wants to have a conversation with me. And you understand you're working on my mouth right now. The only thing I want to hear from you is spitting this.
Yeah.
My longtime dentist in Fort Myers always talks sports with me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shocker.
And my mouth was like an erector set. It had so much stuff in it. Yeah. And he's like, hey, how about them Giants? Yeah.
That's the place that I want to be left alone.
I'm just picturing David sitting down with wires in his mouth, rolling his eyes as this guy tries to pry any Giants talk.
The problem is David wants to talk to him about it, and he can't.
Does he really want to talk about it right now, though?
No, I want to be put under. I really do.
For the whole thing.
Yeah.
Put me out.
Put me out. Wake me when it's over.
I'm with you.
Give me the funny gas and then punch me in the arm or something when it's over. Right. Yep.
So there you have it. No conversations at dentist office. I'll take the conversation at the haircut at the salon. David wants nothing to do with it. Just cut my damn hair. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to make sure you're shopping with the best. And the best when it comes to GIA certified diamonds and diamond jewelry is not online. It's not in the malls. And it's not with any of the new pop-up jewelry stores trying to make a go of it here in Southwest Florida. The best place to buy diamonds is with my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, who have made Southwest Florida their home for over 20 years now. The largest selection of GIA certified diamonds is with the Diamond District. The only place you'll find diamonds 8 to 10% over cost is with the Diamond District. America's top bridal designers have chosen the Diamond District to represent their engagement rings exclusively in Southwest Florida. Simply put, the best selection, experience, and best prices are with Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't know. Are you watching any of Game Day these days, David?
No.
So they do a segment where McAfee is giving away money for someone to kick a 33-yard field goal.
It's amazing.
It's damn near must-watch television. And a couple of guys have kicked okay. Last week, he's got the kid on the field. They had to move I think it was the Texas kickers over. No, the Oklahoma kickers over because he was kicking on the Oklahoma because the practice going. So they actually moved the Oklahoma kickers during their warm-ups so this kid could kick. He's a freshman from Oklahoma. He's talking all kinds of smack. Have you ever kicked before? Yeah, I played soccer as a kid. Herb Street holds. And the kid does the steps. He misses for like $40,000. David, it's good from 32 yards. It just wasn't good from 33. End over end. Perfect kick. They're going nuts. It was so great. But McAfee's the week before Notre Dame, guy kicked it and broke someone's phone.
Oh, did you see an angle from the phone?
Yeah, they end up getting the guy's phone to show. I mean, the guy's holding his phone up. The kick couldn't have gone more than 7 yards. I mean, it went dead left about 7 yards and took out the guy's phone.
And it's great because, you know, he's basically
the whole thing. Kickers are people too. You all want to boo the kickers.
Right. He's basically showing how difficult it is by humiliating these kids.
And last week he's got, Sark and Venable are watching this kid because they're on the field. This is it was great. And he thought he had it. And it was he's an Oklahoma kid. It was in front of the Texas student section. Then they're all mocking him after. It was great. I mean, Herb Street damn near tackled the kid.
So what are they at? 10,000 a week?
It started at 30-some thousand. I think I think it's at like 37,500 or something like that. So I don't know what it'll be this week. Baker Mayfield was the guest picker last week.
They'll never do it because it's a division rival. But what about Judy on the Chiefs?
Wouldn't happen just for the reason you
Division
said.
rival.
Just for the reason you said, and it would be perfect.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd make Judy like a Pro Bowl type receiver, honestly, because he is a deep ball threat. He has speed.
Well, Russ throws one of the best deep balls in the game.
Well, then what's happening? Is it Russ? Is it Judy? What's
Russ
going
has
on?
lived on the deep ball his whole career in Seattle.
God, it's just so confusing.
Judy doesn't want to be a pro. He's got to play against guys that are good every week. This isn't Alabama where he's playing against a corner that can't cover him. and he can just show up and get by him.
Yeah.
Steve Smith ain't lying.
Agent 89.
Steve Smith could have said, he was the fourth best receiver on his college team. Of course, the other three are. Waddle, Devontae, and people forget about Ruggs with the Raiders after the car accident, but
Yeah, he was a first-round pick as well, no?
yes, he was. And you feared Ruggs more than you feared Judy.
Yes. He was an even
Ruggs was the fastest of the four.
Yes.
Apparently, you still do.
Hello.
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 Whoa. Sting on.
Nice. That's solid right there. Gonna have to go some to beat that line all day.
Yikes.
Strike that sucker right down the middle in the long drive contest.
You come back.
Put your name on the thing going, yeah, beat this.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, Football Friday edition of Miller and Moulton on this Friday the 13th. That's the focus of our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote. Do you believe in the Friday the 13th superstition? Yay or nay? 80% of you are no. You're like Mark. I do. I believe in it. Charlie was on a Friday the 13th. Yeah, just saying. We did not talk about this except to casually mention it immediately after it happened. But there's a bigger picture to what I'm about to bring up. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. That's all coming up. So the whole Bryce Harper, stare down controversy. The day after it, the Braves were upset that the shortstop's comments were even reported. They're like, yeah, that was us in the locker room. That's our space. That's not yours. He's allowed to walk around the locker room going, attaboy, Harper, attaboy. That's not for distribution. It's our locker room. Okay? You know the difference when we're doing an interview in front of our locker. That's one thing. But us just walking around in a towel saying whatever in the locker room, come on now. That's our office. And Mark, this does get it. There's quite a debate going on just amongst baseball media as to whether or not the Braves are right or the two reporters who reported it are right. But, I mean, listen, I've said many times, I don't think they should be allowed in the locker room. I don't. I've never felt comfortable in a baseball clubhouse, ever. Always felt like I didn't belong.
Did you feel that way in other locker rooms?
No.
I never covered baseball on a day-to-day basis. So, I mean, but I did cover hockey on a day-to-day basis. And every team and league that I worked for had a simple cooling off period. There was X number of minutes before media was allowed in the locker room. Once those doors are open, I don't know how you can think in today's world that what you say inside the locker room with media members there is not going to be reported on. I don't know how.
And what the two reporters said was, listen, I had a tape recorder going. I could hear it. Okay, when I played it back, I could hear it. Now, never mind the fact I heard it live, but I mean, if I had played a clip of the person I was interviewing, what the shortstop's comments would have been audible. People would have been like, who was that? What was that? But there's quite a debate now. Mark, I have said for years, I have thought they are going to ban the writers from the clubhouse. or at least limit them. Now, this was post-game. Like, I've never understood
We've never
why
understood. We have both been on this side. Before the game, that they allow media in the clubhouse before the game is nuts to the two of us.
Yes.
Nuts.
Especially since
that's to me when that room's sacred.
And
no,
especially
after the game, post game, when the media's in there, I don't know how that's sacred anymore.
And especially since we get access to them on the field and in the dugout pregame. But at certain times, we also get access to them in the dugout. I mean, in the clubhouse pregame. Well, where the hell can they go? So I'm curious if there's any legs to this, especially in baseball. And I was shocked, Mark, at what a debate there is amongst the media members. I mean, Mark, there were far more media members calling out those two reporters than sticking up for them, at least what I saw and heard yesterday. I was shocked because usually the media is all like, hey, come on now. We're in this together. First Amendment, he said, we're not denying. He said what he said, right? Well, what does he expect?
Were they upset that they didn't go follow it up with, hey, you said this?
They were upset two things. First off, the first reporter who reported it is not a day in, day out baseball reporter. So you had the baseball people. Well, that basically they said they
covering it outside of the circle of trust.
Well, they felt that they broke the code. They felt like, listen, you don't cover baseball regularly, you don't know. All right, you just don't. That he was blowing off steam and what have you. It's his clubhouse. Okay, that's yes, they're allowed to do that. Now, if you're interviewing him in front of his locker and he said that, that's a different story. But if he's walking around in a towel, okay, going, attaboy, Harper, attaboy, that you don't report that. So that whole discussion was happening.
I, for the record, love the stare down, love the fact that he said it, think that it's great for baseball because I don't think after the series that this continues on, maybe it will. Maybe the Phillies will throw at him next year. I don't know, but I think this is done. It made for high drama. It made for great television.
Well, here's where, I don't think that the Braves and the Braves shortstop are going to come out on the winning end of this argument. Forget what happened on the field. When baseball made the decision about 7-8 years ago, hey, we want us to express our emotion. Bat flips are encouraged. As a pitcher, you can strut your way off the mound after a big strikeout. All right. Forget the unwritten rules. Okay. Emotion's a good thing. Well, then, like what you just said, Mark, well, then how could that not fit into the same narrative? But there is a huge debate going on within the sport now and the people covering the sport about whether or not the media was right or wrong. And clearly the Phillies used it. Harper admitted he used it. Hell, they made shirts. Do I think it led to the Phillies beating the Braves? No. But was it a thing? It was a thing.
I've noticed something about Bryce Harper. He has that Michael Jordan, Tom Brady trait about him where when he's angry and takes the slightest thing personally, he plays at his best. That makes for great TV. I'll tell you that.
I don't have a problem with the story playing out the way it did. What you've said, Mark, at the very beginning, in this day and age, when that 10 to 15 minute cooling off period is over and they open up those doors and all those cameras and microphones and reporters walk in, it's no longer your locker room.
Yeah, I'm surprised that a cameraman didn't pick it up while he was in there. And the baseball writers should have a bigger discussion as to how many stains on your clothing you can have when you walk into a press box for a game day. Or if you should actually maybe wash your clothes before you go into a press box.
Wow.
They're the biggest slobs in the industry. And that's right.
I
You know it for a fact.
I didn't disagree with you. I just said, "Wow." That just
The media's got to get over themselves. They can't find more things to argue about. Just cover the games and enough already.
But they're arguing with themselves.
I know. The baseball writers are very important people, David. Just ask the baseball writer.
Well, you have to be a certain level of baseball writer. Like the one guy wasn't a good enough reporter because he doesn't cover baseball regularly. You know.
And he reported on what someone said.
Yes.
Over and over.
Yes.
While the locker rooms were open to, wait for it, the media.
But the Braves felt that they were wronged.
Of course the Braves felt they were wrong. They opened up the locker room, their player ran his mouth, and they didn't want it reported on. Give them media. You know what? How about hit a home run in the first inning, Braves? You did it all year long during the regular season, and you couldn't do it once against the Phillies. How about your first and your two best players maybe get a hit in the damn series? How about that?
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The new link feature on X is messing with me.
When you guys were younger, did you ever dream of something like Twitter/X becoming a thing, or just like a source for, like, how did you envision what the future of consuming sports would look like? Was it
Never
any
really gave it thought.
Yeah.
Because I was just rolling with what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, both David and I got on Twitter pretty early. Probably more so at the suggestion of our producer, who was pretty adamant that we get on it.
Well, he was ahead of his time.
And the funny thing is, I was one of the first when I was in local television, when I was in Fargo, and I used to work emails into the sportscast. And literally, I was made fun of in the market. And like, what are you trying to be cool? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's the future. And usually, eventually this will catch on. I just want to,
Because I can't see a way that you can cover sports today without Twitter.
I wish you could.
I mean,
Golly.
like the old days,
Well, no, but here's why. Because network executives now, all they do is form all their opinions off of what they read on Twitter. Honestly, they've lost the ability to look at something and make their own decision. That's the part that bothers me.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think you can cover things without Twitter.
Well,
I definitely think you can cover things without Twitter.
Okay, maybe not cover, but how do I put this? I just think that so much is posted video on Twitter.
No, there's a lot of good
in the
to
locker
Twitter.
room. Like in that locker room setting, so much is said by so many different people, and all of it can be captured and posted on Twitter. You're missing out on a lot if you're avoiding Twitter.
No, I think what it is, it's the easiest place to go, because I was at soccer practice when that Steve Smith thing happened. A buddy of mine texted me, "Did you see Steve Smith eviscerate Judy?" So I'm like, went on Twitter, Googled Smith Judy.
Exactly. It's like whenever I need to know what something, like see something, I don't Google it. I search on Twitter.
KW, don't get me going about AI. Okay. I actually think we need to take it on.
David, I have a series of questions for you when we come back.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Our final segment of the week, the Diamond District bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday the 13th, which is the focus of our poll question. Do you believe in the superstition, yay or nay? Most of you are a no. And it's also a Football Friday.
Football Friday. All right, David. I got a couple of questions before we get to what we do here, because we basically did a segment on getting a haircut and not talking to the person cutting your hair.
Yeah, we did a handful of minutes. Yeah,
a couple of minutes. And so someone, and the dentist is one. So someone did chime in with your prostate doctor. I would agree with that, but you don't want to. This is a question that's asked. You don't want to talk to the person cutting your hair, but David does want to talk with a customer who has 15 items in the 10 or less line. Is that true?
Well, I don't even know if I want to talk with them, but I just do want to use a megaphone and let everybody know.
There's a difference. Talking with them, talking at them.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
But the other two that are more viable to this is, does David chit chat with the bank teller?
It depends on how friendly they are. Okay. If they want to engage, I will engage with them.
What about at the post office, your other favorite place, when you're buying stamps?
Oh, my goodness. Me and this one lady, just honestly, we're like 2 steps away from an affair. I mean, really. We are. I've gone online, filled out a form, mentioned her name to try to, I told her, I said, I'll get you employee of the month. I can do it. Yeah.
So there are places that you will engage in conversation, just not in the barber's chair.
Yep.
Just cut my damn hair and leave me alone.
Yeah. Pretty well. First off, Mark, I go to one of those places. I'm there 17 minutes. This is a very fancy cut. Round up top, straight in the back. Number 3 on the sides. Don't talk to me.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Oh, boy. All right, we start in 1792. Actually, we start in 1775. The first U.S. Navy forms when the Continental Congress orders the construction of a naval fleet. 1792.
We weren't even the U.S. yet.
I know.
Oh.
1792, the cornerstone laid for the Executive Mansion, the White House, was today. And also the first ever Old Farmer's Almanac was published today in 1792. 1915. I'm a mess. 1903. Can't even read my own typed paper. 1903, baseball's first World Series. The Boston Americans beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 3-0 in Game 8 for a 5-3 series victory.
I love the fact they didn't play best of 7. They played more than that. I love it.
1915, the Red Sox beat the Phillies to win the World Series. 1924, Mecca falls to Saudi forces. Kind of a big Middle East deal.
Well, yeah, it's kind of dictated how things have gone since, right?
Today in 44, the Army battle at Aachen, the first German city captured during World War II, was today in 1944.
So think about that. It took 4 months.
1960, bottom of the ninth, this guy named Mazeroski would go yard.
It was a day game, too.
They all were at this point, David.
Yep.
1963 at East Lake, the U.S. whoops Britain 23-9 for the Ryder Cup.
Oh, come on. It was Great Britain and Ireland. They had no chance.
Today in 66, the world would be forever changed because the Jimi Hendrix Experience would debut.
Ooh.
Today in 67, basketball would be forever changed because the first ABA game is played. The Oakland Oaks beating the Anaheim Amigos 132-129 with the red, white, and blue ball and the three-point line.
Yes. Ahead of their time, they were in the ABA.
Way ahead of the time.
Here's my favorite. The names.
Yes. Yes.
So the Oakland Oaks, as you said, Mark, beat the Anaheim Amigos. There were 11 teams in the original ABA. The Pittsburgh Pipers, the Minnesota Muskies, the Indiana Pacers.
Another great name, by the way. Pace Cars. Come on.
The Kentucky Colonels, New Jersey Americans, the New Orleans Buccaneers, the Dallas Chaparrals, the Denver Rockets, Houston Mavericks, and then Anaheim and Oakland.
Today in 71 was the first ever World Series night game. Pirates beat the Orioles 4-3 in Game 4. Today in 78, Guidry beats the Dodgers. After trailing 2-0, that would start the Yankees' comeback in that great 78 series. But that's not the big thing that happened in 78, David. You know, something you like to do on this show that I'm not as big of a fan of as you are is taking calls. I really should be a bigger fan of it because it was today in 78 that President Carter took calls on NPR radio.
And let me tell you, things were going swimmingly too in the fall
Right.
of '78. They were only going to get worse, by the way, for the next couple of years, but they were just going swimmingly in the fall of '78.
That actually happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be,
I don't make things up for this segment, believe it or not.
I can't believe it.
Listen, you're not going to believe this. There used to be a thing. Presidents used to have press conferences. Nationally televised and everything. Like, people asked hard questions for like an hour. Yeah. Used to happen all the time. All the time.
I'm just picturing Joe Biden on Instagram Live right now. Oh, God, that comment section would not be good.
Today in '85, during the NLCS, Vince Coleman is injured, stretching before the game as his leg was caught in the tarp.
A lot of people believe it cost the Cardinals the World Series. Coleman didn't play the rest of the playoffs, so they played the Royals in the World Series without Vince Coleman. Still should have won the series in 6, thanks to Don Denkinger. But, yeah, freak accident. A lot of people believe it cost the Cardinals the World Series.
Today in '91, Cito Gaston is the first manager ejected in a playoff game as the Jays lost to the Twins in 5. 2010.
Hold on. Seriously? Cito Gaston, first manager ejected? Really?
In a playoff game. I'm just reading where I go to this. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have to look that up because I thought Weaver got ejected from a game in the '69 World Series. But okay, I'll go with it.
2010, the Chilean miners all arrived after being underground for 69 days. And in 2019, Simone Biles becomes the world's most decorated gymnast when she wins her record 25th medal at the World Championships. That was just added to me by my wife last night. She had to make sure that I had that in.
Well, what the heck's she done in the 4 years since?
Right.
Slacker. I mean, she's only added like 7 more titles.
Margaret Thatcher and Eddie Matthews both born today.
That's a dichotomy.
Paul Simon's 82, and Jerry Jones is 81. Sammy Hagar is 76.
By the way, Jerry Jones's hair is 4.
Jockey Pat Day is 70. Others celebrating birthdays today: Marie Osmond, Doc Rivers, Jerry Rice, Trevor Hoffman, Nancy Kerrigan, Brian Dawkins, and Southwest Florida's favorite politician, AOC.
Doc.
I just do that for my own amusement, David. What'd I miss?
No, man. All I cared about was making sure we got the 11 ABA teams mentioned. I didn't care about anything else. Whatever, 1775. Usually I'm big on all that Revolutionary War stuff. I didn't care. The stone for the White House, whatever, it's white. Okay. The ABA, now that's important.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Maryland for the good, where a woman had a dream. Her dream was to buy scratchers.
Wow. That's a dream you can fulfill.
So she bought some bonus match 5 tickets for the next few days because of her dream. And on the 4th day, she didn't rise, but she discovered she had won $50,000. And she said, in my dream, I only won $400.
That's great. Good for her.
For the bad, we'll stick right close to home, where Edwin DeJesus made his way to Evangelical Christian School on Sunday while it was closed. He spent a good 5 hours pillaging through different areas, trying to break in, made his way to a guard gate that he got into and knocked down some sunflower seeds, lost his hat during that point in time, but did find a pair of boxer shorts that he stole along with the sunflower seeds. He left about 5 hours after he got there because he's on video everywhere. They were able to easily pick him up, and he was detained. Finally, the ugly, we go to Cape Coral, where Wayne Perry got cut off. And then the guy behind him followed him and wouldn't leave. That's when Perry took out the golf club and started swinging.
There we go.
Really? At another human being. He did make contact. Both the victim and Perry called the police, but after they got into a fight, Perry ended up with a black eye and a cut above his eyebrow. The other man had a broken finger. Perry was arrested for using the golf club in his road rage incident, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today. Friday the 13th, 2023.
Listen, I'd be a hypocrite. I know what he did was wrong, but I did the same thing 26 years ago.
Not to a person, to a hood of a car.
I did it to the car, but they made contact with my vehicle in the parking lot and knew they did it and kept going and then stopped on the rocks and intentionally sped their back tires and pelted my car, which had my wife and my 4-month-old daughter in it. And yeah, I followed them down the street and caught up to them at a red light and got out of my car with the 2-iron and caused thousands of dollars worth of damage to their car. And then when the light turned green, I got back in the car and went home.
You're lucky you weren't arrested.
And I was on TV at the time too. I mean, I definitely thought they were showing up at the house going, Moulton?
I can't imagine what your wife was doing when you got out of the car with the golf club.
She was horrified. Yep.
You are so lucky that you did not do that in 2023 because
there's no doubt. First off, I never would have gotten out of the car. Yeah. Okay, because I would have assumed I'd be shot. Okay. And not only that, I was in North Dakota at the time too. I mean, hell, they had the guns on the rack on the hood of the car.
But also the entire altercation would have been filmed in 4K.
That's true. That's a dadgum good point.
Yes.
Colorado plays tonight.
Yep.
I know that because Dion hates it.
Yep. Stanford coming off a bye. Travis Hunter expected back for the Buffaloes.
Colorado a 12.5-point favorite in that one. Fresno just a 4-point favorite at Utah State, and Tulane is a 5-point favorite taking on Memphis in college football action tonight.
By the way, that's an excellent game, Tulane and Memphis. That really is. I mean, Tulane's only loss is when they played Ole Miss with their backup quarterback and they had a fourth quarter lead. And Memphis at home getting 5. Memphis's only loss is by a touchdown at Missouri. That's a good game.
Arizona and the Devils, Penguins, and Capitals are the only 2 hockey games tonight. Friday night, there's only 2 games in the league started. That makes no sense.
Right, especially when you look at the football and the baseball schedule. Last thing you want to do is, the hockey's big on, basically everybody plays on a Saturday. They load up on Saturdays.
Who do you got, by the way? Washington or Oregon?
Oh, Washington.
I'm with you. But it'll be a great battle. The line of scrimmage will be fought for. Oregon's tough on the line. Should be a great game. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll be back bright and early Monday morning. Thanks for listening.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal